So, hi Vibhav, you can stay on the camera, that's fine. I'm just going to welcome everyone. Welcome to all the dear faculty members. I'm just putting in the group for everyone to join so that we can start the session. Good evening, Dr. Gurvishal. And for the sessions today, if anyone wants to engage and speak, you can put your questions, queries in the chat or question box. And if you want to be unmuted, you can raise your hand and I will give you the access and you can ask your questions. Just give me a minute. You all would have got access to the course also. The course is on Future Skills Prime, and that is where your assessment will be. Please wait till Friday. I'll tell you the details on how to take. It's the same link, Joban. One second. Same link. Please allow me time till Friday. We'll tell you how you'll take the assessment on Future Skills Prime. Again, you'll be able to take the assessment only once. So please be careful. Allot some time. It's at least a 45-minute assessment or a 30-minute assessment. So, take out that time and do it in one go. If you do it once and leave it midway, we will not be able to extend it for you again. So, I think I'll just and if you have any questions for me, you can put them in the chat as well. But attendance will be uploaded next week. We have spoken with AICT. So they have requested that we give all the days attendance together after the completion of the FDP. So next week, maybe by Wednesday, I think the attendance should be uploaded by Wednesday, Thursday. The attendance will be uploaded on Atal. So please, bear with us after your attendance is uploaded and you've given the feedback on the Atal portal. Assessment is on Saturday. So assessment will be on Saturday. I just wanted to tell you that assessment will be on Saturday. So I'll just start the session. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the online FTP sponsored by AICTE and being executed by SSC NASCOM. We are really privileged today to have Vibhav Mittal with us. He's a lawyer he's working with Anand, and he specializes in AI and IPR, and he focuses on AI from a holistic, non-technical legal lens. He has over a decade of experience in IPR litigation and 5 years focused on AI. He's an associate partner at Anand. So Vibhav advises clients on a range of issues related to AI, data protection, and IPR law. He's part of India's first AI and personality rights case. Anil Kapoor, maybe you will explain a little bit about that, and is involved with the recently filed Nagarjuna personality rights case as well. His expertise lies in exploring legal and policy issues, and we are very privileged to actually have him. His time is so precious. You all know how lawyers work. So we have him with us today. Let us make the best use of this time. Let us hear from him, learn from him, engage with him, interact with him, and make the most of this session. This opportunity does not come again and again. So I'll just urge all of you to make the best use of this time and, get as much of this session. We have got him for you. Now it's up to you how you want to learn from him. So over to you, Vibhav. Thank you so much for joining us.
That's
Welcome.
thank you so much. That is extremely kind, and I'm greatly looking forward to this. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for that kind introduction. I will. So we're going to keep this simple. I have a couple of slides, and I'm going to be screen sharing a couple of things across the way. But of course, what I will do is that first this should be visible. Yes, I'll just go on slide share. Sorry, slide show. Please, I'll give about maybe 10 minutes in the end for questions. But of course, if there's any burning question in the middle, please let me know. I'll rely on the moderators to let me know if there's something that's contextual that I'm teaching and there's some question that comes in. Maybe we can intervene and take it because I'm sort of looking at the slides at this point of time. It's a pleasure. What a Not getting into too much of my work, but just to sort of give you a perspective, we're going to be covering today the ethics of generative AI. RAI is responsible AI, and then we're looking at AI governance. Who am I? And therefore in the introduction piece, I'm an AI, IP, and an AI and IP lawyer. All three different things. Being an AI lawyer is different. Being an IP lawyer is different, and then you have to know both to be an AI and IP lawyer. I'm also an ISO 42001 lead implementer. What that is, we will understand as we go along, right? Of course, I'm at Anand and Anand, and there are a couple of affiliate roles that I play across various bodies across the globe, including in India. In India, I'm an associate research fellow with Center for Responsible IIT Madras, and there are some of these bodies that you can see. One's in Singapore, one's in the US, one's in Africa, advancing AI in global South. But that's less on that. Let's focus on what today is about, right? And yes, one important point throughout the presentation, because this is going to be virtual, I have left QR codes on each slide, right? So if you scan the QR code from your phone, you will be able to access the relevant link on what the QR code sort of indicates, right? Moving forward, what are we doing today? We are talking on what is AI, what is generative AI, because this course is about generative AI. But to be able to explain to you what is generative AI, I need to go a little bit deeper into what is AI as well. What is AI ethics? We're looking at generative AI ethics, and it's going to be interesting as we transition into that. How you see, do you see any difference? And it's a question that you should be asking yourself is, do you see any difference between AI ethics and generative AI ethics? Right? And then we're going to look at how ethics and the concept of ethics connects to the concept of responsible AI. Then we're going to look at probably the AI governance guidelines if we have time, and then look at the developers playbook for responsible AI. This was done with NASCOM last year. It's aligned to the safe and trusted AI pillar, and it's been sort of developed after that as well in terms of its validation in the Indian context. Now, this entire conceptual framework is theoretical perhaps, but the goal of this lecture is to move you from ethics to responsible AI and to get you to the point of AI governance so that we understand what we can do. Because and that's so with this lecture is going to be divided into two parts. First is understanding AI, generative AI, and ethics, and then the second part, which is trying to understand what can we do at a day-to-day level, right? So this is the third day three. I'm assuming you already have background on this by other speakers as well. But just so that we're talking about the same thing, AI sort of came up in 1956. We know that. The idea was, I'm reading sort of the fourth slide, the fourth bullet here. Many participants believed that when it was framed in 1956, people believed that machine as intelligent as a human being was around the corner. We're talking about 1956. And this idea, this notion that we have a machine as intelligent as a human being around the corner, capable of carrying cognitive tasks that humans do, was known as strong AI, general AI, or artificial general intelligence. Are we at artificial general intelligence? No. Whatever you're seeing on AI today, right? I mean, there may be claims that we're reaching artificial general intelligence, but whatever that you see today and you're seeing as on date is a concept known as artificial narrow intelligence, right? And when you talk about AI, it's basically which I'm sure some of you would already know, is about training and model on data. How do we train? There's a technique known as machine learning, right? And then there's the concept of deep learning, right? Let's stick to these two technical concepts, right? So when we speak about AI and training on data, the fourth bullet again on this slide, you train an algorithm on large amounts of data, and here's the critical part. It identifies patterns from that data to provide the desired output. AI is a pattern recognition tool. I will come to generative AI, what it's doing. But it's important for us to understand the fundamental basis that AI is a pattern recognition tool. Let's take an example. Of course, I have an example of spam emails and legitimate emails. Let's, for example, let's take a different one. Uh, Let's assume that you're building a AI model where you want to identify a cat. Now you have five images. One image is horse, dog, cat, owl, and crow. Now, when you're training this model, owl, crow, dog, horse, you will label as not cat. And you will label the image of the cat as cat. Now, this training process of training an algorithm and this labeling of the data set correctly, because our objective is to identify a cat. Hence, owl, crow, dog, and horse has been labeled as not cat, labeled. And the cat is labeled as cat. So this is what is known as a supervised learning data set. The point is you're labeling this data set, then you're training the algorithm, and it will be trained, the system will be trained into identifying the image of the cat. In the labeling process, it is being labeled with the incorrect output. Sorry, it's being labeled with the desired output, which is labeling a cat as a cat, and it is being labeled, and that each of the input data sets is being labeled. Now, this labeling process has been happening for quite some time. It continues to happen right now. If you want to get into more deeper into like a general understanding of labeling, there's actually a movie, Human in the Loop, which is actually on Netflix now. It was playing in some theaters a month back in September, but it's not on Netflix. Human in the Loop sort of looks at this concept of labeling, which will be very interesting for you to go deeper. But the point is, which is the bottom slide that you see, is that you're learning from the data set. And this learning is not akin to how a human being learns and processes things. You've labeled the data set, the AI model is being trained on data, it is detecting patterns from the data, right? The second one, AI uses patterns to make predictions for the future, and it is doing it autonomously. Now, when I say the word autonomously, let's be very cautious about it. We're talking about less human intervention, but there is human involvement. And I'm going to repeat myself here. There is less human intervention, but there is human involvement. The autonomy is that earlier, when you were training systems, you would have to give them instructions and rules by a programmer. Here, you are training it on data. It is detecting patterns from that data, and it is based on that pattern recognition mechanism. It does its own pattern recognition, right? How it is detecting that pattern is like in the black box. Let me give you a easy example of what do you mean by a black box. I mean, you might have already heard this term, right? The Let's assume all of us are solving a maths problem. You see the maths problem, the problem you're given to solve, and you go to the end of the guidebook or whichever, and you see the answer. The maths problem that you're given is the input. The answer that you see is the output, right? That's what an AI model is being. It's training on it's either being trained on an input, or it is being fed after being trained. It's seeing an input, and it's giving you the answer to the maths problem, which is the output. Now, what we did in school, or we still do rather in school, if we're in school or college, is that we work through the maths problem. We used to work through the maths problem. Now that working of that maths problem in one sense is the black box. Like how is it doing that? Right? And of course, like I said, there are different ways of training an AI system. There's supervised learning where your data contains categories it has to learn. So I labeled the cat. I labeled the cat as a cat, which is the desired output. I labeled the crow, owl, horse, and dog as not a cat. Of course, in real terms, the images have to be many. The data set has to be significant. Now, the point that is important for us to understand is system may not be 100% accurate. Humans are involved in each way to train an AI system. What does that mean? There is this concept of machine learning. It's also interconnected to data science. Machine learning is a way to train an algorithm which requires a technical skill, because machine learning algorithm you require a technical skill, but it's connected to data science. What is data science? Just to draw out the distinction, it is extracting meaningful and useful patterns from data sets. It's about developing insights from your data, because the AI will predict a particular pattern, but then a data science professional will look at these patterns and kind of build further on it, right? So it's more than just analyzing data, and it's about collecting and preparing the data before it is analyzed, and afterwards the results have to be analyzed. So what are the data science challenges? Now see, when I talk about the challenges, let's go back to the statement when I said human involvement, right? Human intervention. How the AI is creating output, human intervention may be going, it may be getting reduced, but the human involvement continues. Where is the human involvement? It's even at the beginning, how to capture and clean data. This is the pre-training stage. You're finding the data, how to get sufficient data, how to draw the different data sets together, how to restructure the data sets, how do I select the relevant data set, what sort of data are we going to use. And see, every time human involvement remains key, right? And these points are sort of coming in again, like framing the problem. I mean, the first problem, like, why do I need AI? Does this thing really, just because I have large amounts of data, does not mean that I have relevant data to build an AI system. I have not even reached generative AI yet. I'm just talking about AI as a concept right now, about choosing an AI system. Now, how do I determine if having large amounts of data doesn't mean that I just need AI? How do I determine what AI do I need, or what is relevant data? I decide relevant data by framing the problem. It's important for me to know why I need AI. For what business objective am I training the AI system for? Framing the problem becomes important. Once I know what I'm solving with AI, then it comes to determining what is relevant data, preparation of data, creating and selecting the learning algorithms, interpreting the results, and deciding what action to take. Now, examples, right? Like, where are we talking? I'm not even, again, we're not yet at this generative AI, discriminative AI, pattern recognition. You're detecting patterns from data, right? So when you're detecting patterns from data, a few examples, right? I've just taken some extrapolations, right? A couple of articles here. So one is about using AI. Look, it's May 18, 2020. It's been going prior to that as well. But using AI to predict retinal disease progression. Your eye, when you turn 65 or older, your retina, which is the way you see vision, your vision starts getting, you start getting, it starts getting impaired. Now, assume that you train an AI system just on images of what shows your eye's disease, what shows in your eye the existence of that disease, right? I'm simplifying this, right? So retinal disease progression. So I've trained an AI model on images of the eye, and maybe once being trained by seeing a fresh image of an eye, it can detect whether that retinal disease progression has happened or not. What is the tool? It's not acting as a doctor. It is not giving you medical advice. It is only detecting patterns from the images it has been trained on to tell you that, oh, if I see the image, is this retinal disease progression or not? Same logic applied to the right, using it for fraud detection in the financial space. Bottom, in the predictive policing mechanism, you train AI on particular areas, law enforcement with certain amount of data, and then based on the data it's trained on, it is detecting a pattern in terms of whether a particular area needs more policing, whether it needs less policing, how does it have to operate, right? That's again pattern recognition. Then pattern recognition that probably may not be aware. Alexa, Netflix, Spotify, anything that I see, Netflix, Amazon, any or YouTube that you see, you look at videos, and then the it's detecting your taking your data as an input and is giving a recommendation to you. Every time you watch Netflix, Amazon, any OTT platform, Sony Live, any other platform that you look at, it will make suggestions to you. That is also AI. Maybe low use case, but AI. Alexa, it hears your text and analyzes it and gives you the recommendation. Spotify, listening, algorithms, right? So these are pattern recognition tools. So healthcare, financial sector, law enforcement, entertainment, watching movies, music, speech, sort of smart speakers. So that is discriminative AI, pattern recognition. How does that distinguish from generative AI? Generative AI is different because the output is creating new content such as written text, code, images, music, video. If the output is text, we use a term known as large language models like ChatGPT or Cloud or Gemini, right? Well, not Gemini. We'll come to Gemini. The Cloud, GPT, ChatGPT or Cloud. If the output, on the other hand, is an image, video, music, or I would say not text, then in generative AI, we're talking about a large multimodal model, LMM. Now, some examples. Now, what are the examples? The examples are ChatGPT 4, for example, it's text based. It can help you in content creation. It can help you in customer service. It can help you in software development. It can help you perhaps make it easier for from an education perspective, right? Then we have Cloud. Cloud is again text based, human like conversation, again, healthcare, customer support, education. The uses are, I'm not confined, don't, let's not focus on how these models can be used. Their use cases can be varied. These are foundation models. They can be put to variety of tasks. But the key point here is to understand that a generative AI is creating new content. On the other hand, in case if you're just joining us now, when we spoke about discriminative AI models were speaking on pattern recognition. They were talking on detecting patterns on data, whether in the healthcare space, financial space, crime enforcement, watching entertainment space, or Alexa. In generative AI, I have moved away from pattern recognition and I'm looking at creating new content such as text, code, images, music, videos. And like I said, text is large language models, image, video, and music is large multimodal models. GPT, Claude could be text. Gemini helps in video editing, creative purposes. It could be used for marketing, entertainment purposes. Llama, open source, sort of a model. Stable diffusion, text to image generator. Mid Journey, the copyright clarity from the on the copyrightability of AI generated work actually came from the use of Mid Journey. For anyone who's interested in going deeper, that was the Zaria of the Dawn case way back in March 23. Right, I'm not getting into those details right now, but just to kind of tell you that Mid Journey, these models bring in other types of risks, right? Like intellectual property and other aspects, right? And we're gonna frame that in a way as we go along. GitHub Copilot in terms of maybe software code. But these are just examples of some generative AI tools. There could be other models, and these models could keep coming in with better techniques, better features, and better aspects. I mean that's an endless sort of a process, right? You have to decide which AI tool for what purpose you want to use for your own need. The only last point that I want to kind of leave with you, and this is for your further sort of search and inquiry if you're more deeper interested in this, is this concept of closed proprietary models and open source models. And there's some work happening in that space. When it's out in public domain, probably learn about it. But the point is, there are open source generative AI models and there are closed source models, right? So open source is open source, and the only thing I would like to tell you for now, I mean, there's a paper that is being published, and there's work happening in that space. But the only one point that I want you to kind of leave with you between closed proprietary models and open source AI models is for you to think. And one call out that I'd like to do, which is also captured in my own paper, which is due publication, is open source AI system is different from open source software. Open source software is a part of an open source AI system. right? I think let's leave it at that. So that's generative AI, right? Now we're moving into the core. Now, example of generative AI. You can see on the bottom left, bottom right rather, this is an AI generated slide using Gamma, right? And well, there's also some teaching stuff in it also. But as we, this is an application of generative AI. I've intentionally created this. What did I do? I just put some text and I asked it to create a timeline. And this, there also lies an importance in trying to communicate to this, right? So I want you to also see, first of all, there's the labeling that it's made by Gamma, so it's obvious that it's an AI generated slide. Now, why have I put it here? One, to tell you an application of where I found personally found use of using AI. Just one AI generated slide is there, right? But more important, what is this slide telling us? The term came up in 1956. Generative AI, underlying basis of generative AI. So there's a concept of machine learning, which detects patterns. Then there is this concept of deep learning. Let me explain deep learning, right? Let's assume that this is it sees in layers, right? So let's assume that deep learning does, it's called a neural network. It detects patterns in layers, right? So for example, let's assume it'll detect this corner, this corner, this corner, this corner. Of course, I'm doing this from a non-technical perspective. There'll be more technical nuance. But when I'm talking about deep learning is machine learning on steroids. What is machine learning? Machine learning is a technique of training an AI system. Deep learning is machine learning on steroids. Between 56 to 86, deep learning came in 1986, right? I mean, 20 years later, or no, sorry, 30 years later. And at a time when this was not even in fashion. And it took another 30 years in 2016 with the convergence of computing power and GPU that you could employ the technique of deep learning at scale. And why is deep learning machine learning on steroids? Is because it goes like a neural network. It detects images in layers, and it detects one object first. Then, for let's assume that for the sake of simplicity and not technical accuracy, but sake of simplicity, let's assume this is a blue sky. There's a green sort of garden, and there's a tree here. So it'll detect the blue sky perhaps first, it'll detect the garden first, and it'll detect the tree later. I mean, it's a very simplified explanation, of course. And for anyone who's on perhaps coming in from the technical space, will probably understand that it's deeper. But there's something known as the generative adversarial network and positive discriminator. And I'm not getting into those details, but anyone who's interested in going into that can get into it. But the point that I want to drive through is that machine learning came out earlier. Deep learning or neural networks is the underlying basis for generative AI, and AI went mainstream in 2016, right? And as we've already covered, there are multiple models for generative AI. These tools keep coming in. You have to choose a tool that works for you. And when I say it works for you, we are at the user level. We're going to be elevating this conversation from so we went from use to the life cycle. So let's go step by step. So now we've understood AI, we've understood discriminative AI, we now understand generative AI, and these are these multiple use cases. You can use it for customer support, for anyone who's interested from the legal lens. There was the AI generative AI was used for customer support by an airline known as Air Canada. Someone was looking for, I believe Air Canada had a policy about a discount when there's a bereavement in the family. And then I think you have to buy the ticket and then take a reimbursement after the trip is done. And this individual went and did that. But apparently, what the AI chatbot that had used generative AI, it sort of gave misleading information. So Air Canada didn't give this user a refund. The user consumer sued, and then Air Canada was found. So Air Canada said that I think they took the legal personality argument about the chatbot being different, but liability was imposed on Air Canada uh, from a customer support perspective. But so just to but that's to give you an idea where even negligence sort of can come in on the risk side, right? But the point here is that there are uses of, so just for example, again, I'm going to toggle back. Just example, we had these different uses for discriminative AI, where there was pattern recognition. Now we are talking about creating new content, right? So customer support, generating text responses to prompts on customer support aspect, generating text response to any prompts on healthcare guidance, software development already happening, like about creating code using generative AI, video editing. We spoke about a tool that does it. Then using tools for marketing and advertising material. So there are, when we get into the use case aspect of AI, it's endless, right? We can go into different sort of directions. It's not possible to capture all types of use. It depends what you want to do. It's almost like when we're talking about generative AI at a use level, it's like telling how do I want to use my phone, how do I want to use my TV, how do I want to use my how do I want to use a bottle of water, right? So it's difficult to, of course, the AI tools enable the use in such manner. So it really comes down to you. But again, emphasizing, we're only talking about an end user lens right now. We're gonna move up the life cycle quickly sometime. So now let's move to ethics. Because this was generative AI, let's move to ethics. Ethics is more about, you know um, well, this is a very general understanding of ethics. There is a concept of ethics that I've not captured here, which is the concept of ethical choice, and which is basically, in one sense, ethical choice is fundamentally that we, when we develop, if we are develop, let's assume all 87 of us on this call, on this session, all 87 of us were engineers. The short point of ethical choice is that if we were engineers, and let's assume 88 of us now, our our shared moral framework, our ethical choices, our understanding of the world will inadvertently be brought into the design of the algorithm or design of the AI system. And capturing that is, and there'll be some great choices that they'll be there, but just the way we are, for no fault of ours, but just of the way we are. Maybe 88 of us could just be from India, we could not be from any other country, we could have certain cultural understanding, and then we're building a product, say, for Africa, and we could, and just us being ourselves, that would be something that would subconsciously drive the development of the AAA system, or of an AI system, and that's known as ethical choice. We capture that. So the ethical choice gets tied to the concept of ethics committee, which is tied to this concept of AI process audits and the process audits work that I'm doing. We're not getting into that for now. What we're getting at and we're building on is the other facet of ethics, which is really the, very simply understood, is what society thinks is right and wrong. It's not law, it's compliance. It's abstract, but the important part about it is that the highest level ethics cannot be taken for granted. Its proactive steps need to be taken to be ethical, and what actions and decisions that we take from an ethical lens has an impact on the system down the line. Now, the entire conversation between now until we end, right, is about, we have about 27:37. Probably I'll try to wrap up around 7:15 in about 45 minutes. We get 15 minutes for questions. Uh, the entire remaining 45 minutes is how we travel from this aspect of ethics to concrete actionable steps conceptually, and then by an example of a framework that I'll show to you, right? Now, and it's extremely important to understand this, because every time the word ethics comes in, everyone's, ethics in North India are different from ethics in South India, East different from West, US different from India. You would be surprised, and I'm going to come to the conclusion up front. You're going to see this, but I'm going to call out the conclusion up front so that you see this aspect on your own. The formal framing of ethics and the way we move to responsible AI principles is more uniform than you realize. When we talk about ethics through responsible AI principles, and we talk about what ethical features should be in in AI systems, that is more uniform than you realize. It is the implementation of those ethical principles that is contextual. But at a broad level, there is uniformity. The question is whether you're able to realize that. And with that sort of conclusion told to you first. Now let's backtrack from there, right? Let's go forward. What are the different aspects of ethics? No one is going to dispute this. Privacy, lawful processing of personal data, manipulation and exploitation of vulnerable users. Let's assume there's a toy. The toy has a recording device. Children speak to that toy. That recorder records those conversations of children under the 18, under 16, maybe small children, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. Ethical issue. Privacy, ethical issue. Using AI to monitor social media content. Is it taking the right call? Is it monitoring correctly? Ethical issue. Safety. Of course, safety has a deeper meaning now, with the frontier models and more advanced models sort of coming in. So this AI safety is research. But the example that you see on your screen on safety is where you have AI machines, physical machines embedded with AI working in a particular system, right? And when they're working in a particular factory, an AI, a physical system embedded with AI working in a particular factory, and you have humans also there. So how do you kind of manage this balance between robots and humans? Then there's security, which we understand is simplest prevention from hacking. Transparency, how did the way it reached its decision, right? Explainability, which is understanding explaining to human users how that decision was reached. Let's go back to our example of the degenerative disease or the retina thing being handled by a discriminative AI system. Now let's assume it detects that your eye is being degenerated, or your eye is progressing towards a little bit of blindness. If the AI system gives out that output, or it detects a pattern and concludes like that, then you need some explainability to how did it reach, what does that mean to you, right? And then there's bias, right? And this is what I was trying to say. The overall expectation from AI, and let me also call out two very important things on this slide that you've already read so far. We are talking right now of AI ethics, and I'm not even talking about generative AI ethics at all. I am talking about ethics as it was framed from a source that came out before. I mean, generative AI existed, it became popular. And when I say generative AI, I'm really taking November 2022 as the benchmark. I am talking about framing of ethics in a book that is got published before Chat GPT, or sort of from material that I read. I've been doing this from late 2019, early 2020. This is 2.5 years before Chat GPT became popular. And this is framing of ethics coming from there. And that's important to emphasize this. And you'll see some things in bold here. And I want you to remember these bold items, because as we move forward, you will notice the commonality of the framing in the ethics for, let's call this discriminative AI, and ethics framing of generative AI. And there's a way in which that has been done, as we will see. But the main point I want you to understand is these ethics principles, ethics. Overall expectations from AI are uniform across the globe. Phrasing of ethical principles may be different. Implementation is very contextual. Two takeaways from this slide that you need to keep in mind is the commonality between ethics framing when we come to generative AI ethics framing, the commonality between what you see on your screen to the principles of responsible AI that will come, and the commonality between the features that you're seeing to make a product ethical to perhaps laws that could be addressing it. Right? All three are critical, right? Because it, when we lower the abstraction, when we move to action on ethics, we are moving to particular features and expectations I want from a product. That's the key point. Let's move forward. Again, pre-chat GPT, study done by India AI at a time when the India AI mission was not even launched. This is early 2020, 2021. They published a report, and they highlighted bias as a major issue, and see the on the right important principles of RAI. Now we saw safety, privacy, transparency in the previous slide, which is under the heading of ethics, but they're being looked at from an RAI lens. So the terminology is very flexible. How I look at this space personally, and I'm happy to hear later if anyone thinks differently. is that for me, everything starts with RAI, responsible AI. Because responsible AI, there are ethical issues. Not all ethical issues will become responsible AI features. But responsible AI sort of is those principles tell us that of the ethical sort of evaluation, AI ethical evaluation, these are the principles I agree on. And hence, for me, responsible AI principles become the formulation of ethics for a particular country. And we're going to be looking at RAI principles of India. Of course, the way the responsible AI principles are formulated, it's possible they're narrower than what might be an ethical concern. An ethical concern could be broader, and narrow, and principles of responsible AI could be here. And you can see there's a gap here, both ends, there's a gap. Sure. Then the question is that this gap that exists, how does the ethical and responsible AI sort of, how do we articulate this gap to bring it to responsible AI? That's but this framing from my end is intentional, so that we can at least get this part. If this much is ethics and responsible AI is this much, at least we get action on this much item. If there's a gap between ethics and responsible AI, at least this gap we can address by understanding the terminology, right? Okay. Now let's come to ethical issues of generative AI. Now here's an interesting paper. Of course, I hope you're scanning the QR codes because those are all interconnected to the slides that you're seeing. This is the paper that was first, I think, published in Jan 25. Then this is version 3 of this paper. This is being done by sort of faculty, certain individuals. This is, I think, published on the Cornell website, and this has been done by some candidates in Australia from Monash University. I think Monash University is quite popular, and I think people are understanding. A lot of people go to that university for higher studies or PhDs. Right now, why is this being shown for ethical concerns of generative AI? They have looked. They reviewed 39 studies to discuss ethical concerns and mitigation strategies related to large language models, right? And that's one. Two, it's this version 3 is from August 2025, which means that we're on 19th November, so about 3 months back, just about 3 months back, right? So September, October, exactly about 2 months, 26 days back, right? Now, these are the generative AI technologies they've looked at. If you scan the QR code, you'll find the this thing. Then, after mapping 39 studies, looking at different sectors, when we come to that second, these are the ethical issues they've identified: safety, accountability, bias, transparency, and privacy. Safety means you have to operate safely and securely, minimizing risks and issues. So there has to be robustness of the AI system and user protection. Accountability, of course, you need to be responsible. This will map onto current laws. We'll come into that for a second. But actions can be traced and justified. And looking at foreseeable and unforeseeable impacts. How do you do unforeseeable impacts? That will tie to AI governance. We'll come to that. We can't be perfect, but somehow. Then we have bias, addresses the biases of the system that may affect the fairness and equity of the AI system. System must be explainable, understanding. Let's assume all of us are using an AI system, and explaining to you how the system is operating, right? How the system, sorry, not operating, how the system, explaining in human terms how the system reached a decision that it reached, right? Interpretable, which is look at the notion of transparency. Sometimes in some phraseology, transparency is spoken about in multiple, very, very broad ways, right? Explainable is understanding in human terms. Interpretable is different from explainable. Interpretable is knowing the internal working of the system, right? And that's one. And auditable. Audits now can be two types: product audit, process audit. I work on process audits. Product audits is more like doing an audit on an AI system at the end product stage. A product is out, I assess it for bias. For fairness, two different concepts, or for some other feature. That's a product audit. And then there's auditable. This is a study that summarizes this, and notice the time. This is 22nd August 2025, 2.5 months ago. I'm going to show you a document as you go along, coming into responsible AI, which will show you the same thing that was published in February 2021, which is about 4.5 years back. Same features you will find. But let's move forward. Right? These are ethical issues of generative AI and see how they are common to the framing of ethics in a discriminative AI system. Now, whether we look at the legal sector or any other, the study gets into deeper aspect and it sees the same dimension following, because we're also addressing legal tech here. There's safety, privacy, bias, transparency, accountability. Same feature is playing out. Same features, same ethical dimensions are playing out, which means, again, the same point that we're really looking at it from a globally harmonized sort of a way where you're not disagreeing with it, right? Because these are different papers. And if you get download the paper, which I think you should be able to find on the QR code here, I can go back if you want it. You will find that the particular papers are kind of showing it to you from each sector, right? Okay, moving forward. Now, the important point that I wanted to highlight, we looked at something that was from August 2025. I wanted to tell you that these ethical issues have existed even before ChatGPT. Look at the dates of these articles. October 3, 2017, bias, AI in hiring, 21. And I think this one, I'm sorry, it's cut out, is can you in the judicial context 2019, so 2017, 2019 at the bottom and top again 2021. Issues are playing out. Then this is an article published in end of 2019 December, where still, give or take about 3 years away from ChatGPT, where we're talking about AI ethics and there is a desire to do something about it. So we've seen so far what is AI. We've seen what is generative AI. We have seen ethical issues of discriminative AI ethical issues. We've looked at an academic study that maps generative AI issues across multiple sectors, cybersecurity, healthcare, and comes back to those 5 features of ethics. And then we've seen that ethical issues have been relevant for so long, right? And obviously, this is again from the same paper where we're talking about the fact that see there's a 9 times increase on ethics the minute ChatGPT came out, right? Now the main point is here's the second part of the lecture. We've discussed ethics. We can see that AI ethics, generative AI ethics is all kind of the same. The main question is what can we do? How do we lower the layer of abstraction and how do we move forward from this? Which is why this talk is about AI, generative AI ethics, responsible AI, and AI governance. So now we are moving. What can we do? We move from what can we do to the concept of responsible AI, and then we move to AI governance. First, step back. Here's a framing from an international perspective, again in 2019, before ChatGPT, where we're talking about, again, broad principles, OECD, right? Benefit people and the planet, should be designed that respects rule of law, human rights, democratic values, and diversity, should include appropriate safeguards, there should be transparency, similar term. Responsible disclosure, people understand explainability, when they're engaging with them in challenge outcomes. Systems can function in a robust, secure, safe way. Potential risks to be continually assessed and managed should be held accountable. When we look at the principle of accountability, now see how in this is again an international instrument, the OECD principles. We're not signatory to this, but I want to again see the commonality. I'm going to keep emphasizing the commonality, right? Actors based on the roles and based actors, roles, context, ability to act, see the contextual things, apply a systematic risk assessment approach. I want to cannot emphasize this more than enough. Every time we speak about accountability, we are thinking of harm, we're thinking of liability, we're thinking of end result harm. That's absolutely fine. We've had cases, and we're going to touch that, about Anil Kapoor, Nagarjuna, or AI personality rights cases, the Air Canada case, which address the conventional way of looking at accountability, which is harm happens, you sue. And when you sue, you apportion liability. But please see the rethinking on the aspect of accountability embedded in the principle way back in 2019 of looking at accountability, applying a systematic risk management approach to each phase of the AI system life cycle. Each phase of the AI system lifecycle on an ongoing basis and adopt responsible business conduct. And we're going to skip right to the bottom. Risks include related to harmful bias, human rights, including in that context, human rights is broad enough to include these: safety, security, privacy, and intellectual property rights. Again, the same phrasing finds its way in the accountability context, but now systematic risk assessment approach in each phase of the life cycle. I cannot emphasize this enough in terms of rethinking the idea of accountability on the aspect of risk management approach on each phase of the life cycle. I'm not saying that the way that we look at harm currently is irrelevant. Of course, you have to go to court if something goes wrong. Of course, you have to have penalties and sort of those aspects of things, very harmful impacts are happening. But it's critical for us to understand this change in the way we look at accountability in the AI context. Now, that was all sort of. Now let's go a little bit deeper. What did India do? National Strategy AI. We're trying to answer what can we do, right? And we have about, we'll go to 7:20, so we have about 27 minutes. So we're gonna go through this now. The what can we do piece. Different sectors: national strategy of AI, healthcare, agriculture, education, smart cities infrastructure, smart mobility, and transportation. Now we move then the Puttaswamy case. Everyone knows this. Or for the non-lawyers, this sort of spoke about right to privacy as a fundamental right. There's a portion about 2 pages or a couple of pages, not 2 pages, a couple of pages on the right of informational privacy. I'm trying to connect the ethical issue of privacy to the personal data from an actual judgment. And this case is talking about every transaction of an individual user, every site visits, leaves electronic tracks generally without her knowledge. Electronic tracks contain powerful means of information which provide knowledge of the sort of person the user is. In aggregation, blah blah blah. The bottom line: information, especially the browsing history of a user, is utilized to create user profiles. Use of algorithms allows creation of profiles about internet users. An email can be analyzed to deduce user interests and to target suitable advertisements to a user on the side of the window. Paragraph 171, and you're trying to see how AI, how the court understands the aspect of how data is connected to AI and how an AI can do pattern recognition. This is in 2017. This is the Indian Supreme Court. So it's obvious that when we are speaking about the understanding of the ecosystem at the relevant place at the relevant time, there is an understanding. Sorry, cannot. Yeah, let's move forward. Now, whether you look at AI ethics or we look at generative AI ethics, which are the same broadly, here comes, hallucinations could be. So these broad framings could include those specific aspects. But here's where I would want to frame AI ethics and generative AI, how is the framing is the same as the responsible AI principles. I said that when we looked at the broad categorization of ethical concerns of generative AI in this paper from August 2025, published in Australia, I said that you would find something and those same features in something going back 4.5 years. And now we're at that slide. We've gone back 4.5 years in February 2021, and we see the same features in what is for personally has been the foundational document of framing responsible AI to move forward in India, right? And these are the Niti Aayog RAI principles. Now you have these are principles again, move to action. But you have now, after the responsible AI principles, you've had the free RAI framework of RBI. Some of the phrasings could be different. We have the AI governance guidelines. Some of the phrasings would be different, but you would find some common terms, right? So, what is safety and reliability? Safety, the bold terms are, well, transparency, privacy, bias, and safety. All of them are coming in from the previous formulation. And now see how we are looking at these features. Again, we're right now at theory, principle level, theoretical, what action. This is still very high level. We'll come to action. Let's wait a little bit more. But let's get this context right. Safety and reliability. AI should be deployed reliably with sufficient safeguards to ensure safety of relevant stakeholders with risks minimized. See the focus on risk. Equality, inclusivity, non-discrimination, bias. Privacy and security. Privacy and security of individuals, but privacy because you're talking about personal data. But and security, which could be from the Data Protection Act, it could be otherwise. And as you all know, as on date, the DPDPA is now there. There's a timeline by which you have to comply with, which is, I think, currently it's 18 months for the full act, which is, I think, 13th May 2027. Then we have principle of transparency. See how the principle of transparency is design and functioning of an AI system should be recorded and made available for external scrutiny and audit to ensure the deployment is fair, honest, impartial, and guarantees accountability. Right? So now the point is see the life cycle point in transparency. I've not even reached principle of accountability yet. Previously, we understand equality, inclusivity, non-discrimination, we understand safety broadly. Some people, as broad as I think of ethics and I come to responsible AI, when I speak to engineers, for them, safety is like the ultimate, everything is safety, everything under safety, which is fine. These are just phrasings, right? But see the principle of transparency for a minute. Design and functioning of an AI system should be recorded, made available for external scrutiny and audit. How can audit only be product audits? A product audit is an audit which happens when the product is created. It's out and then you're testing it on the particular product. A design and functioning of an AI system to be recorded from the design stage till the end point obviously means that the principle of transparency, for the purpose of transparency, is broad enough to include the concept of process audits, which ties back to the OECD principle of accountability, which we saw, which is about managing risks across the AI lifecycle. Move forward. Principle of accountability. 2021. All stakeholders, and here comes in the first phrasing of an AI lifecycle, way back in 2021. All stakeholders involved in design, development, and deployment of an AI system. Designer, development, deployment of an AI system must be responsible for their actions. Stakeholders should conduct risk and impact assessments to evaluate direct and indirect potential impact of AI systems on end users. You're conducting risk and impact assessments. Then you're setting up an auditing process, whether internal and external. I'm not getting into AI audits right now, other than process audits and process audits, but there's an internal audit which happens in organization, then there's external third-party audits. Now, here's the last one, and this is my own interpretation. Again, happy to um, hear countering views offline, perhaps, in the interest of time. But let's look at this. When we look at principles of responsible AI and we look at law, all mechanisms of grievance redressal in case of adverse impact, I would fit all current laws under that category. Could be wrong, but to move forward, well, not all current laws, because that's where now comes in the actionable point. Of course, principal data protection law will come under privacy and security. I don't have anything on safety. I don't have an equality, inclusivity, non-discrimination that will come under constitutional laws. I mean, if you're coming in from a legal background in this room, you will see that there are some laws that you can broadly fit into these principles, but there are enough areas where laws don't fit. That's obvious when you look at the screen from your perspective, which means that, and I'm sure no one here will disagree. I mean, if there is, let's hypothetically assume there's no law on AI safety. Does that make safety less important? No. There's no approved AI audit tool, product audit, or a currently government approved or an approved AI process audit scheme. Does that make it less important? No. There's no risk and impact assessment mechanism. Does that make it less important? No. Laws are only fitting in some parts of responsible AI, right? And the point is, and that's again, I'm coming to a conclusion first and take you to the detail later. It is extremely important for you to think of this as a law plus mechanism, because laws, if oh, the assumption I'm making here for everyone in the room here is that the principles of responsible AI matter to you. If these principles that you see on your screen do not matter to you, then whatever laws are there are good enough. Now, if we are not getting laws, which is also important, right? Sometimes the technology has to adapt in a particular way where law you have to balance various factors, right? So if we are balancing those different factors, and there are certain features where laws are not there, and we may not need laws in some areas right now because you need consensus for that, right? Then, if this feature is important, it brings out the imperative of the law plus approach, which means that we use laws wherever there's consensus, perhaps privacy, personal data, grievance redressal of intellectual property, grievance redressal of consumer protection, grievance redressal from an IT rule perspective. And wherever there are no laws, in the plus component, we identify the risk and then we mitigate that risk. So it's a combination of laws and voluntary frameworks, which you have to understand, right? One small intervention, which is, I mean, in the interest of time now, we're about 17 minutes away. This study is basically about the fact that people who believe that responsible AI is not relevant. This is an actual study published again. If you scan it, you'll find it on your phone immediately. This was published in March earlier this year. This study demonstrates very clearly that responsible AI protects the bottom line. How? They surveyed about 3,000 people in the financial sector space, financial based pension app. I'm not sure whether the audience was India or not, but it was an audience in the globe, very humans across the globe. So I'm guessing, and then they identified 5 features of responsible AI. The 3 that stood out was privacy, auditability, and understandability. Privacy and auditability we've spoken about. Auditability we've spoken about. Sorry, privacy and auditability we've spoken about. Understandability is explainability. And the research concludes in one line that when the financial pension based app included features of understandability, auditability, and privacy, the adoption of the tool went up 60%. So, if you don't see value in responsible AI, there's some evidence supporting that. Now we move to more detail. This is like the final lap of this session. We are moving to governance. Now, why is this definition of IAPP relevant here? Because there's a framework that was made last year that was released last year, known as the Developers Playbook for Responsible AI. That framework is aligned to the safe and trusted AI pillar of the India AI mission. Post the release in November 24, there's an international body, International Association of Privacy Professionals, people in the room who've done CIPP, AI governance professional. That body recognized this framework as a relevant resource for them. And therefore, for the sake of understanding governance, in that I have captured IAPP's own definition here, right? And I want you to understand. So we're moving away from now. We've understood ethics. We've understood responsible AI. We are now moving to the practical application of responsible AI in actual practice, right? We're moving into that direction. And this is now touching on the concept of governance. And I want you to notice the broad scope of governance and its laws, policies, frameworks, practices, processes. So, not just laws, policies, frameworks, practices, processes happening at three different levels: international level, national level, and organizational level. So when it's happening at an organizational level, can we have a uniform governance framework to start off with? Possibly not. AI governance is helping in implementing, managing, overseeing, and regulating. Again, regulation is a component of it. Then the aspect of life cycle. The development, developers could be different. Deployers who use the system could be different. Users across the life cycle. What is the goal of AI governance? Helps manage associated risks so that it is aligned with stakeholder objectives, is developed and used responsibly, ethically, and complies with applicable regulatory requirements. Again, law plus. Moving forward. Is AI governance regulation? No. Simple point. We are talking about set the third bullet. You're talking about setting AI governance, looking at how AI is controlled within the company. You're setting policies. You're establishing accountability to drive the development and deployment of an AI system within the organization. AI governance could be looked at governing the decision-making process of of AI, or governing pattern recognition tools' ability to identify patterns, or in the generative AI context, sort of understanding how you want to kind of take care of the risks from generative AI, which we've seen at a broader level. Ethical concerns are same, and mapping onto responsible AI principles. Going further, just to bring out the law plus component, right? And I have to keep talking about law plus, and the reason to come up with law plus is only because of the fact that every time we talk about risks of AI, we have this need to have laws, and it may not be practical to have laws to cover everything if you want to balance, multiple factors. Therefore, it's important for laws to cover some aspects, and then you have to go to the plus to mitigate risk. And you're going to mitigate risk because there is impact to reputation, to an organization when they're using AI. So therefore, the entire idea whether I want to mitigate risk or not, I mean, not possible for us to address why it's important to mitigate risk. The assumption is that you would want to mitigate risk. And if you don't want to, that's a separate conversation then. And this is just to tell you that the bottom three are legal, the up are non-legal. We've already covered this. We've sort of looked at how current laws sort of operate within uh, the aspect of governance. I put them straight in the principle of accountability. It's obvious that when we're looking at governance, if you go back to this, sorry, one more slide. If you go back to development, deployment, and use of the technology, we are obviously understanding that governance is part of governance. These laws help in governance in some form, and of course, the principle of accountability. Then we have, of course, an example of AI and personality rights sort of a situation where we were talking about, so what happened in these cases very quickly. The short point is that, in the interest of time, is that famous personalities have commercial use on their name, image, likeness, persona, characteristics. We filed Anil Kapoor in October 23, and we've done this for a fair number of actors after that. But more than that, actually, the main thing that we have to understand here is that how our current laws being used to regulate or take care of harm from AI and at an end user level. That's the main point from a ethics responsible AI perspective, right? And their name, image, likeness, persona was being used, prompts being entered into generative AI tools, AI generated videos, and lots of things are happening in Anil Kapoor, and similar scenarios have happened in Nagarjuna, Shwarya Rai, Abhishek Bachchan, Jaya Bachchan, Karan Johar, Arijit Singh, Bombay, even I think Hyderabad's passed something, Chiranjeevi, I think also. So I mean, it's all over the place now. But the point is, we started in September 23, and between September 25 to now, in November 25, we've had a serious increase of these cases, right? And from a governance lens, from a responsible AI lens, from a responsible AI principle lens, it's accountability. From a governance lens, we're looking at use, right? Moving forward. Now, here are some examples of the plus component which I've already highlighted. We have TRI that came out with some recommendations. We have ICMR which came out with its ethical guidelines for artificial intelligence biomedical research. We had NASCOM also that came out with their own sort of responsible AI guidelines for generative AI in June 23, right? And then sort of couple of things if you want to go deeper. There's this body that I've sort of they've looked at this law plus approach very recently in an article about 2 months back. So that's provided QR codes if you're interested in sort of looking at this. There's an additional resource here in terms of this is the first that we sort of published. This is the top one is the published by IFED. IFED is a body that advances AI for the global south. And in the Law Plus article, they sort of looked at this formulation that I've come up with and sort of contextualized it for global south, right? And the reason I put it here is because we are part of the global south and might be useful. The right bottom right, sorry, extreme right QR. If you scan that, you will probably find these aspects very clearly for yourself, and you'll get some context of the work. On the other hand, if you go to the bottom resource, it's more about there's the first piece that we published last year in July 24, capturing all voluntary frameworks and current legal frameworks at that time that applied to AI in India. It's like a compendium in one place. It went well. We did edition 2 in December 24, and we're actually in the middle of doing edition 3 now, which is a task, but we're on it. So we'll probably have something in edition 3 as well. But this is again in case you want to go deeper into understanding this law plus component, right? Now we move forward. Now, and in the interest of time, I'm going to sort of really come fast. Now, the point here is now we're moving to actual steps, right? Now we've understood ethics, responsible AI. Now we need what are the steps that we want to take. That takes us to an RAI framework, a responsible AI framework. This was a mandate we worked with, so we worked with NASCOM last year for 10 months. And just to sort of give you the perspective before, because we may not have time to go through the entire framework, but I would like to address and entertain questions. It's 7:13, so about 7 minutes I'll conclude. I'll give 10 minutes for questions. Uh, we were to formulate a responsible AI checklist. We were to self-evaluate various aspects, focus on startups, non-legal language, because we're looking at a developer, which is a technical person in the organization, not an exhaustive set of prescriptions. And the main point is actionable steps. And that sort of led to this framework known as the Developers Playbook for Responsible AI in India. It's a voluntary framework. It's not a law. It's intended for a developer. You scan the QR code, you get it on your phone. It provides you it's intended for a developer, which means a technical person in any organization to mitigate risk, right? And from AI systems, and advancing a common sort of industry framework, right? Now, why am I talking about this? You will understand this very quickly. If you want to scan the QR code, you could, or you could just look up developers playbook for responsible AI in India, and you'll find it. It's obviously aligned to the safe and trusted AI pillar, but why is it relevant on the screen right now? Because it's just telling us that from once we've traveled from ethics to responsible, we've traveled from ethics to generative AI ethics to RAI principles, and then you move from RAI principles to current laws. Now we have on the other side of risk, when you looked at accountability, or well, this is not legally binding, but when you're talking about the idea of doing risk impact assessments across the AI life cycle, this framework provides a particular view. Interestingly, in the governance guidelines that came out um, again in November earlier this year, in the governance guidelines, the same playbook that we see, the framework has been sort of cited in Annex 5 of the voluntary framework, right? So co-drafted that framework. So the point is that it's interesting to see this. But the point is that, so we're talking about an example. There'll be more frameworks. There could be multiple other ways of achieving responsible AI. This was built from the perspective of startups to look at developers, to look at risk mitigation across the AI life cycle, and it's cited under as a voluntary framework to achieve at an organizational level their guidelines on safe, responsible, ethical AI in the form of non-binding principles, right? So that's just to contextualize for anyone who would like to go deeper. They can read the framework. I'm obviously available, accessible to the digital world. I'm accessible on LinkedIn. I'm happy to speak there as well. But the point is, there's the responsible AI framework and governance guidelines. The governance guidelines get into multiple pillars. They get into capacity building, infrastructure, risk mitigation. In risk mitigation, you have risk assessments, incident monitoring, voluntary frameworks, techno-legal framework. So in the risk mitigation piece of, and sorry, in the risk mitigation pillar under voluntary frameworks, do we find the playbook cited? In the infrastructure pillar, there are some recommendations. In the capacity building, there are some recommendations. In the risk mitigation pillar on risk assessments, there's a recommendation, I think, of setting up some risk assessment framework for India. Then there's the incident reporting mechanism that is there, which is an incident database. And I think IIT Madras has published something on setting up an incident database. There's an academic paper to that effect also out there for someone who's interested in that. There is the accountability pillar. I'm going to come to the accountability recommendation as well. But I have sort of taken some selective pieces of the governance guidelines here only for the simple reason, only one reason, so that you have an action item. You want to do something in AI. How do we move from abstraction to action? How do we move from abstraction to action? And which is why my sort of focus here is to kind of highlight these selective items. Of course, on the right, like I said, the RAI principles of Niti Aayog came in 2021. We now have the governance guidelines, which come with some set of principles. We have the free AI committee report that sort of comes with their own principles, but you find homogeneity in those principles. We have Parak AI, which is the participatory algorithmic auditing tool, perhaps. Participatory sort of a citizen focused sort of an angle. So to highlight the auditing piece here, which the auditing piece you'll see later as well. Now, in the interest of time, this is just to go a little deeper into the playbook. We have 2 minutes, and I will obviously come back to these frameworks in case it's needed. But we're going to talk about the playbook is designed to provide a voluntary framework for developers to systematically identify and mitigate potential risks associated with commercial development, deployment, and use of AI in India. Development, deployment, and use. We're covering the entire life cycle. Risk mitigation guides provided in the playbook contain consolidated AI risk libraries with corresponding set of risk mitigation prompts, because this has been sort of also looked at by the governance guidelines as one of the relevant frameworks based on our evaluation. And we looked at, I was the lead in the project. We looked at everything that was in India at that point of time. Evaluation of existing public and private AI risk management frameworks and hard and soft regulation. That's the plus approach. Not just binding laws, but stuff that is actually there to guide, right? The references section, if you look at the references section, you'll find the list that we looked at, right? Of course, this was in November 24. We started the project, I think, in early 24. We wrapped up around October, November. So obviously anything after November is not there in the playbook. And I would also like to kind of, and okay, let's take a look at this. This is like, why? So the generative AI content. We divide it into three AI types: discriminative AI model, generative AI model, AI applications. It's intended for a developer, which is a technical person working in an organization, but also to help generally otherwise. So when you look at a discriminative AI model, we're looking at it pattern recognition. The slide that we looked at with healthcare, with financial sector, with those OTT platforms that you can see the discriminative AI piece. So now you can see the connection to discriminative AI model. Generative AI model. We have steps of generative AI model. Then AI application. India is known as the app layer of the world, right? So we are building and fine-tuning generative AI models, some of which we spoke about before, and we're building applications in that direction. and then we conceptualize the AI life cycle. IIT Madras, in a paper on participatory approaches to AI governance and development, I think around the same time, about a couple of days prior to us, published a paper which also conceptualized the life cycle, that spoke about life cycle in technical terms and to simplify your life. IIT Madras framed the life cycle as, I think, design, development, and deployment, which is technical, like designing, that is pre-training stage, developing, and then deploying the system. We kind of, from a risk mitigation lens, if you want to map that framework to this one, this is more broader, and this is more to get a broader perspective. But we conceptualize the life cycle, and which personally for me that was the most interesting piece of it, because if you look at other international frameworks, right, NIST sort of gets into like 13 stages of a life cycle, or I think the generative AI went to like 20 steps. I don't remember now correctly on the number, but I think the beauty here is just the fact that there was alignment among stakeholders, and this was obviously reviewed by, I mean, of course, this is reviewed by plethora of experts, and that if you see the preface section of the playbook, you will find not the preface section, the acknowledgement section of the playbook, you will find all the experts that had reviewed the playbook. We did about, I don't know, multiple consultations. But the point is, we conceptualize the life cycle: conception, collection, processing, and usage of data, design, development, and testing, deployment, monitoring, and maintenance, right? And so you have to think of discriminative AI model across the four stages. You have to think of generative AI model across the four stages. You have to think of AI application across the four stages. So it's almost like 12 silos. Discriminative AI across the four stages: conception stage, collection, processing, usage of stage, design, development, and testing stage, deployment, and monitoring stage. Generative AI model: conception stage, collection, processing, usage of data, design, development, testing, deployment, monitoring, and maintenance. Right? So we think across these silos. Then, of course, just as a couple of things, as a next step, if you want to go deeper into audits, there's some work happening on process audits, and if you want to get into standards, there's standards are also recognized as sort of practical action. So things don't stop at the playbook. Playbook is a starting point. It is sector agnostic, use case agnostic. Different sectors could have different perspectives. For example, the RBI framework could have a different perspective. The healthcare sector could have a different perspective. The agriculture sector could have a different perspective. This is obviously just a starting point to get us thinking in a particular way. You are more than welcome to disagree with this. You want to throw it in the dustbin and do your own thing, you're more than welcome to do it. It's a voluntary framework, obviously, but it's to get you thinking. And in terms of next steps, also, if you want to go deeper, there is obviously the process audit and product audit mechanism, which also the governance guidelines sort of recommend. And I'm doing some work there, which we can discuss offline if you're interested in that. Again, it's voluntary, pro bono. I've been doing it for 4.5 years now. We're teaching also there on something there, if it's of interest to you. Then, of course, there's the other voluntary measure, again in Annex 5, is on technical. So the audit recommendation is more on the accountability pillar. Then on voluntary standards, there's again the aspect of standards. And then there's ISO 42001. Like I mentioned, I'm also an ISO 40001 implementer. So there's stuff that you can do there as well. So if you want to move from ethics to responsible AI to action, there's a lot that we can do. And in that spirit, I have 7 minutes left. I'm going to stop the share of the slides. I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to, allow any questions that are going to come in. And of course, uh, depending on how many questions we have, and maybe we can go a little over, I'm just going to open the playbook on the side just in case we need to screen share it and sort of read a couple of prompts from there, perhaps maybe from the generative AI section. Of course, you can read the playbook in your own time. But for now, I think the most important thing is that you have any questions. I've not had the chance to look at the chat, so I'm going to have a look at that now. We still have time. About 6 minutes we have. Right. So, right. In case the organizers know any section, any question, you can let me know. Uh, as I can't spot anything at this point of time, I
No, I
will.
don't see any questions. I also don't see any questions.
Right. So then let me then
I
move to the
just see
playbook.
a feedback from Prince Ashok that it's a very good session. Please record this type of lectures. So the recording will be available, but not now. After the FTP is over, we will be uploading it all on our Sector Skills Council NASCOM channel. So uh, you'll have to just wait for a couple of days for that.
Thank you. So then it allows us 5 minutes. That's more than enough. Sometimes you can argue court matters in 5 minutes. I can take everyone through the playbook. That will be interesting because I think it's important for us to walk away with a very clear perspective of what does action mean, right? So let me then, because we have time, let's okay. So this we've no wait, hold on. This is where we start off. This is Abhishek Singh so just to sort of perspective. There's a need for if there's a question that comes, I'll just request the organizer. There's a question that comes in between now and night 7:30 when we end. I'll pause at 7:29. Please let me know. Otherwise, I'll just take
Sure,
the
sure. We'll do
question.
that. We'll do that. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a need for voluntary industry adherence to responsible AI principles. So there's a proactive commitment. I probably it's important to understand that when we talk about law plus, obviously something that's not covered by law is risk mitigation, and for risk mitigation, you have to be proactive. And therefore, there's a proactive commitment that not only prepares the industry for evolving regulation, but also positions India as a leader on the global stage for ethical and responsible development, AI development. Developers Playbook responsible is a step in this direction, created by national support of Anand and Anand. This playbook highlights the reason I'm reading it is to kind of contextualize everything that we've done, sort of gets contextualized in these paras and these prompts, right? This playbook highlights an approach to building a robust, ethical, inclusive AI landscape. It serves as a guide for developers and businesses to navigate the complexities of responsible AI development. It The playbook equips innovators with the guidance they need to identify potential risks, align with best practices, adopt responsible AI methodologies, and while allowing for evolving approaches towards AI development and deployment. Aligned with India AI Mission Safe and Trusted AI pillar, the playbook seeks to harmonize public and private sector risk management frameworks, offering a path that integrates ethics into fabric of AI development. I wanted to tell you that it's been reviewed by a lot of people. If the page I can remember here we go. So this was all that was. This is the entire piece. So you have a fair number of experts. I think we were given the mandate to look at international experts. I think we got in about I think I now don't remember the number. I think about 8, 10 experts from 11, 12 countries. We have someone who's worked on the ISO 42000 Singapore standard. We have someone who's working on a UN framework, which I think that UN framework is up for adoption somewhere. We have an AI ethicist here. We have a technologist here. So we have different sort of people that have worked on this. Now let's go straight. In the interest of time, I'm going to go straight jump to 23. This is generative AI. See the stage one conception. Define and document the intended purpose use of the model you are conceiving for development and ensure that the model is fit for intended purpose or use. Identify and describe the stakeholders who are intended to deploy the model. Describe the geographical area. Let me leave at this prompt perhaps. Bias. We keep talking about bias. How do you eliminate it? Or how no, you can't eliminate bias. It's a statistical impossibility. How do you mitigate bias? You just describe the geographic area in the context of geographical concentration of language, cultures, and language and laws and regulations you want to make it. If the 99, 98, 9900 people on the call right now are engineers, Nobel laureates working in India, building an AI application to sell in Africa, obviously our Indian perspective may be inhibitive for Africa. So then what we need is the participatory approach to AI development, which is the guidance we provide, which is where the AI lifecycle was defined for the first time in India, which we've provided here. So it takes care of bias. And then of course we have I'm just last this thing, and I'll hand it back to the organizers, is stage two sort of looks at intersection of AI and personal data, which sort of maps onto the data protection law at that time. Anyways, you can read this at your own time. Now I'm going to take more of your time and I'm going to stop this now. So you have a minute left for the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A lot of comments in the chat that it's a great session, and obviously coming from a practicing lawyer, from somebody who is, whose expertise is AI and law and legal and IP and IPR. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that, and we hope to have you back in the cohort which is starting on December 1st. So I'll check with you your availability. And the
Sure.
next batch of generative AI fluency we are doing in December.
Sure.
So we'll coordinate with you and try to get you back.
Perfect.
Thank you
Perfect.
so
With
much for your
pleasure.
session.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. And anyone can reach out wherever they want to. If we're at time, so we're going to stop at time now. All right. All right.
Yes, yes,
Thank
yes.
you so
Thank you so
much.
much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye. Thanks.
Thank you. We are now joined by our next expert, Dr. Harshal Shah from Parul University, Goa. He's Dean. And welcome, sir. You can switch on your camera and your audio, please.
Thank you. Yes.
Good
Yeah.
evening, sir.
Good
Now we
evening.
now everybody will know that you are from Goa.
Obviously, that's why I said today after the office hours, how should I represent that? Yes, I am in Goa.
Excellent, excellent.
Good evening,
Already I feel
sir.
like I am also in Goa looking at your
Do
screen.
come, do come. Everybody is invited. Hmm.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let me formally welcome Dr. Harshil Shah, Dean, Parul University, Goa. Before that, he was with Parul University, Vadodara, and I think it's a new university that has been set up, and he's in charge. And his passion is, AI, emerging technologies, and doing innovative things, which I have come to know in my association with him. And it's great to have him on board, and he will take the session on architecture, real estate, and interior design. So over to you, Dr. Harshal.
Thank you. So that's why this is the vibe, right? It is evening vibe, and people would be also listening one or two sessions from that. So this is the last session, and even of the late of the day. So yeah, thank you, Gurvesh Sinaji. That is, yes, we are friend on a LinkedIn too. Yes, sir, definitely. And today's exploration might be you will be also that this is one of my experiences also, and many other previous cohorts where this has been also demonstrated also. So that would be a wonderful opportunity to showcase. How a perspective of an common people also can be addressed by a AI, and which is the usually everybody feels the area where all are associated, they feel themselves connected, but still they do not have a lot of prosperity for because they have a lot of dependencies in a nowadays busy schedule. So specifically that Gen AI, the role of Gen AI in real estate, what would have been expected as legal terms you have just learned. So this is also the one of the aspect which is there by Gen AI into the field of real estate. The real estate architecture and interior design, the theme is they are interconnected. When you are having a construction of any houses, offices, complex, city, town, that all comes under the real estate. And without their design, architecture, and their interior, it won't work. It won't work. Get into the execution. But a lot of people does have. A lot of people they have their own preferences, their own choices, right? And they have their own kind of an understanding. But this is also a field where a lot of designs, a lot of norms and regulation does have variety as per the state and local geographical conditions. So everybody is known for the right now Gen AI is what, but the integration of Gen AI into this is now revolutionizing the industry. If we see as a layman what we can do, and then there are many tools what industry can use and they can change that. So today, yes, we will explore how this will work, what are the design processes, how it will improve the aspects area of an property management, transforms the client and their experiences. So the technology which is not only optimize this efficiency, but also the creativity will be also boosted, right? Just I want to ask you, like if I want to ask you to prepare a presentation on any of your expertise area, right? What are the things you will do, and what are the criterias you will keep in your mind? Can everybody post their viewpoints within 3 words, 3 parameters which they keep? And the fourth answer is the time which they required. So let's start the answering. Open your chat box. Please type. Right? Please chat. Am I audible? I think so. So, what are the parameters which we look for? Right? What are the parameters you look for before making a presentation in your expertise area? Yes, everybody can might have received this message, and please answer the question. Everybody, I hope so. People, yes, started this. Okay, knowledge, content, and what would be the time? Vishwajit, Ranjita, your answer is visible now. Right visual aid, knowledge, content, fine. But how much time would you require for that? Yeah, visualization. That is, I have asked for the parameters which you can have. Obviously, 2 hours. And if I say on a one topic, one topic, if I ask you same target audience, and if I ask you that, give me the 5 options, 5 different presentations, then then how much time, what level? Obviously, this we look for. But if I want for the 5 variety, then what amount of time get exaggerated? Because we used to work for presentation, but for the one particular topic, we are finalizing one single presentations only. Then there are no other viewpoints which is there, right? We can be fast, we can have chit chat, because then you will explore much today, because we can demonstrate, I will be demonstrating some of the cases also. Okay, structure, very good. Audience profile, very good. But what about the 5 different variations? 5 variations for same audience, same topic, same label. What will be time for that? Yes, we do interaction. Yes, but what would be the time will be required? And what about of the efforts behind this? I think they are, of course, time management is fine. It's all about the delivery. But what about the 5 variations of the same topic, same audience, and same level? Where the expectations, or you can say where the requirement is similar or same. Requirements does not have any changes. It is a matter of dependent upon style, need extra 1 or 2 hours, okay? Very good. So it is majorly on but mere difficult. How would you able to differentiate? It's difficult for people. But here, the same version can be developed within couple of minutes, couple of hours, couple of rendering time, which is very high into the field of the design and development. So understand this is the last part, which is the important is optimizing the efficiency, right? And that is how the fostering the creativity in these fields. Right. Yeah. Look for the content, be deliverable in less time and creativity presentable smartly. Fine. Very good. But for what the variations of the similar content in different organizing, different arrangement, it will take your lot of intellectual time. And yes, generative AI, everybody would have said you that it is algorithm to create a new content designs from the given data, right? And that is why this architecture fields are usually the designs are required lot of visualization by the audience, by the customer, and by the end user. And this field helps here. And another field which is the about the market trend, where AI adoption rises due to the automations, needs, and, and client demands. So this Gen AI actually changing the field how they were actually working. Initially, you go to the some engineers, or maybe if you have a city plan, then town planner comes and presents the plan A, plan B, then it has gone to the iterations. Again, after a week, they need to confirm the certain requirements and modify the plan and come B with the C, D, and so on. It takes so much time. But here, Gen AI immediately works upon it. That is what the timeline of the projects get managed. When timelines of the project gets managed, they can handle the need of a market in time. And this is AI adoption, which is rising now. Everybody is looking for their prototype is to be building ready, because even though after the finalization of design, people need a visualization. It has to be create a model where people can see visually and understand how it will look like, how would be the accessibility is there, what type of the inside rooms and inside and outside, what kind of an ambience will be there. But still they are having all creations which is physical, where they cannot play with it, they cannot have a variation, how it will be look like into the rainy season, how it will be look like into the sunny, how it will be look like into the cloudy weather, how it will be the what are the challenges of the heavy flood, that they cannot simulate it. But using the AI, Gen AI, everything can be fasterly simulated. That can be identified, right? Today we can see lot of flood, lot of landsliding. All the challenges are coming up, and the faster is nothing else the Gen AI solutions who can give these thought processes very faster, right? Okay, thank you, but it's not yet over. So this creative processes, integration of AI addresses industry challenges while they are meeting this advanced solutions. Okay. Now we understand the Gen AI, like there are various text, images, designs, and examples which can create these things. And you know the tools, Chat GPT. Yes, it can do text generation, image generation, file understanding, Perplexity AI, Copilot, Delhi, Gemini, Runway ML, Autodesk Forma. They are the Rabbit. They are for the specific purposes. But ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, Copilot, and the Gemini, they are what for generic purpose. They are doing image generation, text generation, file understanding, everything they are doing, right? So the specifically where we want to work upon the images and video, the tool specific like Mid Journey, Runway ML, Autodesk, they are more of AI assisted designs, and Revit, which is for the plan generations. So let's first understand the cycle of the real estate and how AI works into this each stages, because AI is transforming real estate in development, like from the phase one. When somebody comes with the project, then AI starts helping the Gen AI. It process the all data sets of the current and find out the which is the site is more prosperous for their business proposal and considering their constraints. Each projects have a certain constraints, either of a time, of a resources, skilled manpower, then the budget, and the local conditions, geographical conditions, local scenarios, right? Rules, regulation, norms. So, basis on that, the Gen AI models who are trained for that, it identifies, considering the huge data sets, which is like comes under the which seismographic zone, which type of eco-sensitive area is, what are the compliances are there, what are the norms for that, and what are the authorities would expect that. Considering this all aspects, it analyzes entire demographic zones and the market trends also, that what kind of a area is growing, what kind of a return will be coming up, what are the nearby possibilities are there, what are the other amenities are there. Basis on that, basis on that, Gen AI works and help to select the correct sites, correct weather, and even though just you have completed the legal aspects also, it gets integrate with that particular aspects also and check the legalities. Is there any claims on that, any court cases are there, wherever in from wherever data sets, it's find it out properly, any legal aspects, any disputes, any title conflicts are there, and finally comes under the proposal, which can gives the project feasibilities. So it calculates the tools, automated tools which does the feasibility studies basis on these all informations and simulate the all scenarios, like if more rain will happen in that this area, what will be happen, if some earthquake will be there, of what qualities, then what type of constructions will be required, and what type of construction will include what kind of an cost, and that cost is the quickly being assessed. So that's the return on investment, the ROI gets calculated, ROIs get assessed faster. This is on all these aspects. So some projects viability studies, it helps. Still AI is growing, this viabilities works faster. Then the another third aspect is urban planning. So it visualized everyone what sort of development is going on and prepare the all scenarios and simulations which we have seen, the visual presentations of all scenarios using the lot of automations like video generation, 3D model preparations, and it creates a better understanding by preparing the virtual tours, the impacts on the infrastructure, how optimally the land uses are there, what kind of an amenities like and connectivities related to the transportations, and then the project's viability and feasibility and what amount of the flow it can handle. So basis on that, this improvise the people understanding about the entire project, helping AI done very faster. Once it does very fast, this helps to make a decisions and start procuring entire materials and prepare the cycle. So there they have a big challenges during the execution of the project. While they are using the land, they need a lot of storage of the materials which should be on the site. Otherwise, if it has to be procured and then transit and then delivered and then people do start working on that, the project gets delayed or it cannot have an optimizations. So these optimizations can be done using this very rapidly, very fastly. And basis on this, they can even control the cost of a time which has been identified to procure basis on the trends when the rates of cement, steels and other materials will be having high cycle. So they can the procure at the proper low cost, can identify proper execution timeline and make it available just in time, so their storage cost, storage maintenance, then their losses, their damages, and warehouse wear and tear activities get minimized. So this is how their wastages get controlled. The spillages which can be identified easily, and these conditions will make more prosperous valuation. Even for older houses, older properties, over and entire project computation of property valuation based on the market size. So this cost computation and material requirements will be planned through various parameters and local conditions. Their availabilities all can be figured out. And once it has been figured out, this can identify a proper property values. Once this is the valuation comes in at the appropriate stages, people can stage their proper listing based on the value, based on the interactions, based on the people who are can afford these type of solutions, whom to be targeted, whom to be identified as a prosperous segment where they can show their property and generate the proper lead, right? So categorization, segmentation, targeting and positioning can be done using this, and appropriate listing would be much helpful. So this automated property listing guides and connects proper idea about the demographical conditions as well as the integrated CRMs with the social media. They can analyze the users and penetrate to their visibilities, and that can create good the appearance and attachment and proper appeal for their entire business. So AI works in all this cycle in a real estate stages. Next, let's understand the how GenAI works in a second segment, that is called architecture. So when you use this design, generations, and then getting their variations, so GenAI does not stop at the one particular options, but it can provide you a lot of options, and it can makes you the architects also thousands of design options based on specific criteria, and where all efficiencies also can be handled. If you are a designer and asking to create the post or just wishing somebody a happy birthday, you may stop. If you are working with your creativity, you can't go more than 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. But if some templates are there, just you have to do editing, just apply the change name. So then you have some sample template 25. But customization will take a time. The challenges will appear to you to edit that little one if somebody has expected that you when you take it ahead for the execution. When you take it ahead for the execution, what happened? It takes time to just edit and once. you need to have a edit of that. And once you edit those things, it again takes a time, and a lot of connectivity gets also to be considered. Same way with those parameters, when you have these parameters, constraint, design, which can be enabling the dynamic manipulations of this design parameters for responsive architecture. So this is the architecture which itself incorporate these type of constraints, this type of probabilities and this type of visibilities, and that can that can be like an interactive. As we are consulting someone, you can interact to them as in consulting. And real architects, they have not much time. The people, they have to spend a time with their clients, and they have to go on the sites also. So they are struggling to give you incorporations in time or on an immediate basis. So that is a very time consuming process for everyone, where GenAI is doing with consideration of that level of knowledge and precision it produces. The last one, the area where it works, is applies, is about the sustainability, because usually we may have find the architects, and then it is very difficult to incorporate those aspects, but still GenAI tools very good environmental data and lot of data sets. It gives a ample of suggestions for sustainable design practices, which works very effectively, right? Now let's understand the second segment, is the third one, which is the interior design. Now what GenAI does, it helps to make these things personalized design solutions and mood board creations. The generative AI can analyze these type of preferences, the personalization preferences, right? And their understanding and expectations, which generate the tailored design concepts based on the individual choices and preferences and test. So the lighting, the appealing of and color choices, the amount of the designs, and everything gets personalized, and their accommodation again fitted into this as a solution, which is kind of a mood board creations. So in this area, AI works very fast and very to the connected to the in everyone, because this is their own space. Everybody wants their own preferences, own kind of an accessibility, and own kind of a mood setups, and own preferred solutions into their personal spaces. And here it plays very vital role. Otherwise, what happens usually, people go ahead with the architect or designers, and based on that they feel adapting those things as per the trend is running into the society. Second thing is that these kind of a thing helps into the collaborative cycle. As you can see, then software development, there is an agile model where there is a regular scrum meetings are there are sprints are there, where customer client is been involved into the phases of development. Every stage their reviews does matter, every stage their reviews and their comments make the product more as per their requirement, need, and based on their excess choices. So here, this kind of in a speed and involvement are tools which makes it available, accessible for the clients, for their communications, and they make it faster into their engagements, right? Otherwise, it has to be a set a meeting. They have to meet the architects, they have to meet at appropriate time. Then time constraint comes into the picture. Once the time constraint comes into the picture, things get delayed. Next is that budget. When time goes, their choices, their comforts, and the prices of that materials are getting varied. So, sorry, 1 minute. Okay. So this can be also dealt in time with the available budget or maybe a identified budget, because it has been considered entire cycle end to end with the particular choice, budget and comforts. Again, same way, it prepares that virtual reality because it gets connected and generates the all experiences and rendering very fast. So it enables the immersive VR experiences directly from the design. Earlier it was taking so much time, people has to work upon that, visualize these things. But then this visualization of this spaces before the construction gets begin, it becomes very fast, rapid and immediate. So that is why the optimization of space and their planning becomes very perfect, very effective, very much. These tools are providing the lot of layouts and usage patterns, and basis on their need it produces, it generates. And when it generates, you can have a easier to select and eliminate what you look for and what you are getting, and then the choices selection gets easier basis on definitely your preferences. But when you have less choices, things are confused at the layman end or at the user end or at the client end. Now understand what are the actions are being performed into the area of architecture and design. What GenAI does, it does three things at by large. First and very important task is rendering. It renders. Second, the planning and the regulatory related confidence provided. And the third one is the management, which is like an inventory and costing, which we had just heard and discussed a few minutes back. So let's first understand what is rendering. Rendering is preparation of a design, the elements in a visual form, generate that new element and make it visible to the people. So AI does very faster. Rendering is not a new thing, but these tools which does a rendering from 2D plan, then 2D plan to construction of 3D plan, and then visualization. Once it gets prepared, it was usually the very high-end processors and high-end graphics cards are required. So that is making very cost to the people, right? And from the rough idea to the actual visibility, which also takes too much time, and even a cost also getting involved very high. So this is the area where AI works very fast and supports a lot, like an even from a computer aided design rendering to the normal pen and paper sketch rendering, or maybe a render to the enhancement. So from raw visibilities to the enhanced visibilities also. Next comes to that, the planning and regulatory confidence. The AI floor plan generation is the plan, like AI based floor plan. So which one is the first one? This is what is the first one. Architect prepares the floor plan. And once they prepare the floor plan basis on that, the arrangements and everything, the entire structure is been prepared. And the structure comes, it comes with the regulatory part. What you can build, what you cannot build, what you can, how you can build, how much margin space has to be left, how the roadside entrance is to be provided, what kind of an arrangements are to be made for that. So this is what the floor plan generation AI makes the choices lot fast. Then the challenges of changes, how it should be, how it can be a fasterly developed, how it can people can work upon a development of the entire project, how they have to have modify change. And the next one comes as in stages, like some construction where the rooms are created but what sort of interior is to be done. So this is the called staging. At that stage, what can be done, whether here the placement of an wall where the pictures will be there, artifacts will be there, or maybe a furniture will be there. That's called the staging. And the next one, which is called there, how it will look like. That's called the AI animation and their virtual tools. This is also a part of that after the stage. And again, this is the generations again from the CAD. So rendering to the entire planning from the design and their regulatory compliances from the design itself, it can be made and it can check the parameters basis on law, basis on the local norms and the compliances authorities and their compliance possible. So when you are work up in this, the second stage where the AI functions. And is next is the inventory and costing. So material planning and procurement, as just rightly discussed, that it plans because the space is very important. While they want to construct, they need a storage also, they need to shift also, and that gets added the labor cost of shifting and storing and material procuring. So here it does very well planned, and plan can be very well optimized, and procurement can be also, because usually it happens when these people works, they this labor and their they could not have appropriate idea with the timeline, and because they are just busy in just construction and then they are daily putting their efforts in hour and hour basis. But what is the stock, how much it lasts, they have very wild estimation, they cannot have an assurance, and basis on that entire supply chain can make you the cost hampered prices because of the unnecessary emergency is get created, or maybe a unnecessary storage space occupancies, which can again damage the material, or maybe a spoil of the material, or maybe a wastage can be done. So here GenAI helps very easily. Second, the entire area calculations basis on the plan, basis on the designs, basis on the all that, it automatically calculates the how much actual area is. And basis on the area, it can prepare the cost also. So the cost computation of any house with the particular variety of the cost, how much sand would have been required to be used, how much bricks to be required, what was mortar is required, what is the cement required, what kind of a bricks will be there. And if you have used this brick, then this will be the cost. If you have this brick, if you have used this mortar, and then this will be the cost. Entire variety of options can be prepared very rapidly, and basis on that current rates, current market availability, sometimes you may select, but the material may not be having available during that time, and that make a choice to be changed as because the construction is ongoing. This is what the variance calculations of this various opportunities, or you can say the situation scenarios which gets generated, and all this are getting in line, so it helps into the estimation, right, the monitoring of that, and whether things are going on plan or not. So now let's understand what is called CAD rendering. So the tool is like in My Architect AI, where you can see that the scene type which has been prepared, the input image has been given. Basis on that, we want the accurate, or maybe want to the enhance or style transfer and write this convert into the residential house where the house horizontal wooden slats are and sidings are there. And basis on that, you can think this is, you can see that this is the result which is getting generated, and gives us a clear idea about that. So what is this called? A CAD rendering. First, it is called CAD based computer added design which can generate basis on the given descriptions the entire rendering on a design which gets generated. Second one which you need to understand which is called sketch. Any layman is preparing the sketch, like I want this way, and then prepare have the sketch is prepared, and they have another photo which is you can say this is a reference image. While it is a reference image there for the color combinations, the color styles which gets adapted from that, and combining both that you can see this is the render image how it will actually look like for your design, combined with the styles and the design pattern which has been used, the combinations which has been followed. You can observe that the design is here. You can see the wooden which has been shown, and this has been copper or gold. So even that has been placed. Similarly, the hob and the vessel you can see. The fridge which has been shown over here in a reference image which has never been here shown, so not it been used. Then entire composition has been balanced and prepared the actual design, and which can help to understand more idea how it will build up, how the things gets customized, and from the design to the reality can be fasterly developed. Next action which has been the enhancement. When you have some rough image, rough calculation with the colors and all this, you can upload that, and basis on that what are the other options and opportunities can be formed. So basis on that it can produce the more enhancements to the existing design, more variations can be developed, and more opportunity for selections will appear for the development. So that gets the called rendering enhancement. Next area is next thing is called the floor plan generation, so that we can have a concept 1, concept 2, concept 3, 5, 6, 7. So where just we have to say what we want, where the garage should be, where is the hall should be, what are the dimensions we required, what does the entire area is, and what is our requirements are. And we can get a variety of options, where should be the living room, where should be the garage, how the bedroom is planned. And we get the our preferences, like also the vastu compliances, vastu related compliances also, like this direction should be having an entry, this direction should be no much space should be left into the entry and exit, and that so you can have a proper utilization of your plot area, and everything gets ready for the floor plan. But this is not made by architects. This you can create by your rough work, and then it can generate the variety of options using the GenAI. Next is called staging, right? You can see this is the stage where the construction is completed, but now its the interior placements are pending. So what the way you can arrange your curtains, sofas, the chairs, the center table, the dining table, everything place it, and it can automatically produce this. Not you have to place and adjust at an appropriate place. How can you can segregate the area which is the kitchen area and the dining area, or maybe the living area. Just you need to put up the image and give a choices, or you can give a free hand to the tools and it can produce this varieties for you. What color combinations will be suited into this particular stage, and adoption can be possible, and basis on that you can see that image which has been generated, which shows that how you can places the pictures over there, what are kind of an the color of the sofa should be there, what kind of an fabric can be used, how much it will look like basis on the mood and that. Next comes the furniture, AI furniture design, and a lot of you can do a customization. So you can select your choice of furniture, their colors, and you can find out the your style of the furniture generations. And based on this furniture generations, yeah, I'll take up this Jovenpreet. It can take up. Of course, I will say it will take up, but depends upon the scale. You can see that if you are layman, if you are person who is cannot have a interaction possible to everyone. As per the regulatory, job of architects cannot be taken by them, but the kind of an adaptability and variety of versions people do, showing their availability for the accessibility, these issues and the variety of versions which is getting been charged heavily into the market by the architects or designers, that gets little now improved, because anyone can use and do their preparation of concepts betterly. They would be, even architects would be able to communicate and understand the need of a layman betterly, and they can also get easily interact with the people fasterly, and people also can show that I have this type of preference, and sometime it will definitely help to bridge the gap, the communication of the end users and the client and designs. Same way for the furniture, you can have variety of the options, and which can be even you can customize. So there are many tools. Let's have specialized tools which are there. GenAI specialized tools for architecture and interior like ChatGPT, Runway ML, Delhi. They are been work very well. So Delhi, Autodesk Forma, Zillow AI, Midjourney, My Architect, Finch 3D. They are specified tools for architectures and interior. Except the tools like ChatGPT, Runway ML, Perplexity, Copilot, Gemini. These are all like in the, if you want to have a video and all this, Delhi is work. But if you have a CAD and then Autodesk Forma is there, that works specifically for that. So Delhi Mid Journey is like that. But from that architect level, the My Architect AI, then Finch 3D, the for room space optimization, there is a space maker, Kriya AI, Look AI for the more visualization, room setup, room arrangement, room uh, placements. There is a room GPT is there. Then there is an interior related more is AI, space optimization, Spacely AI, again good planner, Fringe 3D and Planner 5D. If you are into the reconstruction, renovation, then you can have a reimaging of your home. So you would get a better ideas, better explanations, and you have better discussions also. And sometimes everyone may not be having a speciality of the all materials, so you'll get a better options also. And even though you know in this field, they are preferred to, architects or designers are preferred to use one particular trend, they are following particular trends, or they are fascinated with some brands. So they would have those things into their mind, and for quicker solutions they would not be able to provide lot of variety of options. And another thing which we can think about from the architect side perspective, if they are looking for the guidance, they are looking for the suggestions, they have some creativity in their mind, they have five variety of options for them also in their mind, they want to also explain and showcase to the client. But the speed, the their occupancies does not let them to do it everything quicker. But these type of specialized Gen AI make them very fast, right? So let's understand what are the good tools are there, which is the best generators, you can say. It's a mid journey, most advanced tool for the architecture designs, though it is not fully free, but still for the architects, yes, it does a lot of helps. Prepare the customized architecture designs on the market, and prepare the early stage conceptualization phase very good. So that's very give invaluable experience, right? Then there is another tool which I would like to highlight. There are a Kriya AI where the architecture generator is there and rendering engine is also there. So basic floor plan generation using the text prompts, enhancing the existing image, creating the animations. So it's very multi-purpose design app is there. They can produce a lot of variety of options basis on this Kriya AI. Next is OpenAI's the text to image model where you can have write the prompts. It does not like you cannot have advanced customization as the above tools. Editing features like the other mentioned AI like Kriya AI, where you can easily put up the model or image, and you can change the placements which is there. But Daily AI just a one way only. So it can generate the images, but they are again good enough for exploring the different exterior concepts at early stage. Next one is a called Playground, which has lot of predefined presets, reference images, and editing options, mixing the options. So these are the tools where the early stage will be like a fun also. If no people can explore it easily. So their idea gets very clear. The material usages, their pros and cons very clear. So features will be also easily explored. So variety of this preset filters and reference images, mix image editing gets their work very rapid and into the set of playgrounds. So this variety of presets and filters, reference images mixed, that playground, it is again for the normal users. But now the tool which I'm going to talk is a Fabry. Fabry is a collaborative environment which is built for the architects itself. So it's very versatile app. All kind of and designers, architect work collaboratively. They can share, discuss, and the generative idea basis on their explanation and descriptions, it builds it. So collaboratively people can do editing and present their variety of versions very faster, and they can show to the each other. So they can even edit with the built-in tool faster, and AI enhancer will be used. They can upscale it easily and do lot of discussions with the digital visual entity, visual images, visual models, and that they enhance the ability and their creativity too, booster to their creativity too. To get this, the one next tool which is there, a get the floor plan. It creates the realistic 2D and 3D floor plans visualized based on just JPG. You just upload your PDF sketches, JPG images, and it prepares your entire plan, 2D, 3D visuals, and even create the immersive experience also, like for the VR mode where people can take a virtual tours, and it's in just 24 hours, less than now. So these are the tools. Okay, now there is this is very interesting sessions for you. You will be there, and you will be able to, I'll show you couple of my explorations, my demonstrations, my exploration with the tool like a chat GPT. So I'm going to showcase you how the three tools which I have explored, what the work I have done. I got an opportunity that my house is also getting built up during the last 2 years. It's still ongoing, and I try my use cases and see the how result comes. But it has helped me a lot. Beautifully, I can prepare. So now let me share my entire screen to you people. And so first is case study is the generate the house which is based on the given design into the attached file, and let's make it the isometric view of that. So I had worked upon this, and look at this will be BQ available, how this will be like. So you can see that we have the front and side elevation plan which was there, which has been entered into the chat GPT, uploaded into the chat GPT, and it has created the rear. So I asked the prompt, generate the real view of the house based on the given design in a attached file. So it has and make it isometric view, so I can have a front and side both. So this has one image which has been created, which is basis on this front and side elevation. So the entire image is created like a rendered image. But then I ask, we don't want this kind of a slopy roof. So can I have the option without the slopy roof? It has eliminated the all the slopy roofs they have eliminated. And look at this change has also been automatically adopted because of there is a no slope. And so this elevation will not be in used, and based on that you can see the new rendered image is being generated with the appropriate plan. You can see this, the slopes have been discarded and the flat terraces have been built upon. So this is what the basis on the prompt only and given design as a reference, it has produced the required visibility and understanding for the layman. Let's understand another one. This is what the example related to the door design to the actual door photo. Right. So the door design which has been prepared. So that's the initial image which was been like this, given by some sample, and the design which has been created, that how the door will look like, and that details had been prepared. Now we want to see that as an actual door, and I had purposefully done certain mistakes like typo errors, convert. So right, rather than convert, did a spell mistake. Door design to the actual door photo. So it's not an even correct spelling. But yes, ChatGPT is still able to understand. So it has said, yes, I can generate the realistic image of the door design based on the drawing. And would you like the wooden texture, metallic finish, and any other specific material for the door? Yes, I said I prefer to have wooden texture as the shade like American walnut shade. And it is fine. It cannot generate the images right now, and then later on I had asked repeatedly, then it has generated. So the image of a door visibility with the American walnut shade, which is very visible to, then I had thought about it looks me very dark, and let me use some American walnut to make it to the awkward shade for the very light. And so that's new image is created. You can see. And if it has been liked, yes, we can move ahead. And this is the design which has been preferred or not. Then basis on that, easily to find the material which looks like this, similar material, right? So this is what the help will be there, how the visualization, the lot of load on a memory get reduced based on that. Next, the design description preparation. So basis on that, the plan which has been submitted of a, like in a door, right? This is the another design. So this like in same way it is been given. So you can see the design shade is been applicable. The laminates had been selected by, and automatically it is suggested. So just simple prompts are given, not much description. And the appropriate handle is been also applied. The lock is also been applied, and see that we again change the shade, right? And then the another design has been also given with that American walnut, and it seems that, so once it has been generated, then it was the task that how it will look like with this shade, Avira Bianco shade tiles and awkward shade door. So this same design again produced with the floor tiles which is having Avira Bianco. And then how it will be suited for the bedroom, or it will be suited for the living room, like living door or bedroom, like. So this is how you can see the living room, what sort of feel it will produce. If it is used in a living room, it will be look bright and spacious, feel warm and elegance and versatile aesthetic. So what the color seems to, that color moves for that. And if it is used in the bedroom, it can create a modern look, cozy environment, relaxing ambience, and ultimately it will see and create the verdict. And it is also like it is a low maintenance and durable solutions. So that's how it will prepare. And then what would be the other parameters should be designed or selected basis on that. And basis on that, we got what kind of an wall colors would be, right? It could be more suitable, like what warm white or off white will be like for the airy and modern look. If you want to go ahead, then you can slick and contemporary feel, then you can use a light gray. and you want to have a more warm, then you can have a soft beige color. And what sort of the accents will be of the for depth and showcasing the character, right? So you can use olive green, muted blue, and charcoal gray. Then what kind of furnitures will be there and what colors over there? So sofa would be used to be light beige or gray or a soft olive green fabric sofa for a contrast. What kind of a table? Table would have again oak wood so that can match the theme, right? With the bottom of a black metal, or you can use a marble top with the chick touch. And what would be the TV? They would again have a awkward and that seamless blend with the door, right? Natural tones of the rug would be preferred with the subtle pattern and texture. Wool rug would be used. Same way for the bedroom, what type of curtains, what type of nightstands, wardrobe, everything is been given. Then what type of lights to be there? So warm LED lights, pendant lights, wall sconces, floor lamps, and dimmer lights for this type of atmosphere. What are the other styling ideas like what wall art, where the mirror, what type of mirror, what other decor should be there? An entire description for yourself as an architect, you can get it from them. So this ChatGPT has from door to the entire room which gets prepared. Now go again with the bedroom layout. From layout to get an under entire preparation which is there. So you can see that the design, the snapshot of this design has been uploaded and asked to just generate what it generates. Look at that. The master bedroom layout plan. This is the room details. This has the dimensions. This is the balcony area, dress area. Then what are the doors and windows? Then there what is the height? What is the seal level? What is the so entire detail is been perceived. And then we can ask for what? Furniture arrangements, 3D visualization, redesign suggestions. Yes, and we do it with the given suggestion like it is a UPVC white color window, gallery side and sliding door should be there, and oak wood laminated and floor tiles as an Avira Bianco. It has prepared a complete room layout. Right, look at the subtle view, the artifacts and windows basis on the room. This has prepared. Now we want certain changes and the wardrobe which has been not been focused right now. So it has been asked that okay, you change the layout of the bed and then do the corrections based on attached image and then feedbacks considering that sizes so that the wardrobe also been added. You can see that wardrobe, but still it is having some mismatch and still it has to be asked and get it rectified. Now the doubts related to that, what has to be used and what not to be used, or what sort of things to be taken care. So one prompt which I have a confusion related to the pressure pump and water filter installations, right? Because I want everything to be have every places I should have a filtered water, so there is no worry for my kids that they can not have any dirty water or any unfiltered water, so their health and hygiene cannot be get compromised. So, and if I want to also maintain the pressure also, so using this pressure pump or water filter, that can be both, right? So, question has been asked, what can I do if it is like water level of the source tank will be below to that inlet? Because it is good to use the pressure pump after the water filter installation, or it can create any issue. So, is it? So, it has again, yes, given a very good idea to filter water, and for that, if what sort of arrangements to be there, ensure that filter is rated with the use of a pressure pump because that filters can get damaged, a leak also subjected to the high pressure. So filter cannot be used later on the pressure pump. So first filter is used and what sort of pressure which cannot damage, so you can regulate and check the valve, so you can have protect the plumbing and prevent the backflows. And if you have what happen if the water level of the source tank get below, so gravity fed filter, and if the pressure pump is installed before that, what will happen, and pump can still draw the water from the inlet as long as it's a self-priming and submersible pump, if right. And if water will not flow into the filter because the gravity can't push the water upward, and filter will simply stop working. So don't worry about that. And source tanks is elevated above inlet, so that's what happened if something is not in place. So that recommendations also been given. So source tank water level often falls below the filter inlet. So consider the relocating of a tank or filter to ensure the gravity flow, and installing the booster or pump before the filter to ensure continuous water supply. So this is how the guidance to the layman is also been easier with them while appropriating. Then multiple 3D view generation using this file. So you can see this prompt has also worked upon the from the very basic design. You can see very layman design, and this is what's called as an wardrobe image. So given in a sketch where middle three equal size, right, and left and right side which is the equal length, and follow this each will make in a proper length. So apply white matte marble laminate shade and middle drawer with the awkward shade. And you can see that the design is prepared, the which is have proportionate. And then we again ask for more revision. Has this particular operations and have the five partitions, which is again often right and left, which is looks like an equal, and then again some bottom which is openable, openable shutters and storage spaces are there. So them are drawers are remaining apart from that. So you can see these are the drawers which has been reframed. From that again have this revise the documents, and then partitions and their appearance, and this entire prompt which has been generated, and that hidden all these features which has been again more precisely given, while we had changed that all and then applied the different laminate shades and look that added the mirror part and how it will appear. Then again one another drawing which is given for the another cupboard, and then this is what just sketch again the better sketch from the given drawing. So the sketch is prepared in a better aspect, and again that is been given with, then you can see that a more proper the wardrobe has been prepared with the design, and then revise the design with that bottom part with the dark coffee shade and blue shade into the inflated version. You can see that it's created and then more appropriate, and then prepare a realistic image out of that, and that has been fluted laminate we have received based on the theme which we have applied on that. And see, you can see that the proper image has been generated, and that can be used also very nicely, how you can appear and how you can use. So this is what the chat gpt is done to this design, and you can even use a local languages also. So I will demonstrate that you can use the any design which has been done by some layman, which is again in local languages. You can see it has been uploaded, and then the again prompt is in also in a local language, and then you can see that you can find the actual view basis on that. So that is also been experimented. Last one, which is the finish work and schematic design creations. It's of an entrance door which has been prepared based on images. So you can see that this is what the real image has been uploaded, and it is asked to create an image based on the given entrance door photo and prepare it as a finish work, the final end outcome. And it's real image which will make a clearly look exactly from a front side, and give also a image which is as a schematic diagram. So you can see that it has been turned to the center, and the door has been placed the same, the steps have a colored, and then how the door designs will look like. Same way the some more recreation of an image, widening the space between the door and frame, and having pillar with this. You can see that more small corrections also can be conducted. Now the width, height, and other proportionate also get adjusted. Now you can see that we can create this wooden grill in front of the door, and then how it looks like. So the door, the front grill is being prepared. You can see that. Then one more variant of the grill which we required, again another wooden variant which is received. This is what the design which is being prepared basis on the given symbols and that arrangements of the symbols. And look at that, again that symbols which has been made use that, and then other options had been explored. So this is what we have done with the chat GPT, and then some of the things also explored with the copilot. So in copilot, it has certain limitations to store the generated images, but I can demonstrate you the prompts. So you can see that we have adapted the same attached file and asked for the isometric view, and similar prompt they had prepared and generated. So you can see this, you can have the details also inside the images, right? The storage limitation. Then same way the door designs which cannot be have, but it can be, you can see the details are there after uploading this, all details related to this door and lot of options which has been produced. The prompt has been produced and it has seen a very good outcomes also, right? So the backlights LED which you have seen, which may not be visible to you, but you can see that we can have a lot of options. So the chat GPT, this copilot does not provide the store, but I would like to drag your attention to the Vastu doubt resolution. See that which is the textual one where image is not stored. So we can we have asked what about that Vastu will be there on a northeast corner of the house plot outside the house construction area. What to be done? So it can, there you can prepare this that, and this will be preferable. You can have avoid tall trees over there, do not plant that. The lower flooring area should be kept. Avoid this entry of a bedroom and kitchen, so do not place this in this sector. So it is in this area, and cleanliness to be there. Avoid the heavy objects over there. Now we have said that can we place washing machine there? And again, based on Vastu Shastra, it has started the recommendation that northeast corner, according to this Vastu Shastra, this area to be kept clean and free from heavy electrical appliances, as it is considered a sacred space. So it invites positive energy. So you can think about this northwest or maybe a southeast. So this is the area where you can prefer this type of things. And it is the considered ideal for washing machine and cleaning activity. So you can put up the southeast area, and that can be very good. So if you are like, you can also get this type of Vastu trip also, and Vastu compliances check also. Again, you can do some other furniture designs and using that same the drawer and options which we have worked upon, shutter and that fluted part. So same exercise which I have carried upon that. The next exercise I did it with the recent tool which is called Perplexity, and that makes you a lot of interesting over here. So perplexity, where I had given the images and assets which is there, you can see that answers are there. It has given a very good image based on the photo, and then again I asked that to make it isometric. You can see the isometric view. You can have, no, that is to be prepare the house based on given image. Again, it has been produced. So this options of generations and design, which becomes very good with the these tools. And this door exercise, I did it a lot here. Yeah, thank you. It's fine. We see the same door which has been again uploaded here, and basis on that, the variations with the isometric view and centric view is can be prepared. The lot of variation has been asked. We have make it render correct it also. And what about if that there is a road which is rough, not in flowed area? So the initially it was in a flowed area, but it is on the road, and then how it will look appear on the roadside, right? And if it is there is a wooden grill, what would be there? So this is a different wooden design which we have exactly ahead of the door. Okay. Then you can see the another door wooden grill design, and then door. Then you can see the two-sided option as an half partition solid wood, and there. So bottom will be a filled one and upper will be a metal grill. You can see fine. The good again designs are there. Then again the half would be wooden and half grill area at the top. You can see the single door without the glasses, and then you can see that the is there. We have a wooden framing also, it's been applied. Again, you can see. So lot of options. Then again the same image which is with the fully finished look as the symbol is placed on acrylic glass, and the wall which is light will behind the glass, and the symbols are made suitable for the entire design, and you can see the light shade has been prepared. So how this has been added, then you can have all other considerations, and then the acrylic glass and other options would have been applied, or the wall only. Then we want design without the glass panel and at the middle. So this is a very good generative options can be set onto the options, and see you can see that again the glass at the middle which has been removed, and it is completely cow door. So carving has been applied and without the glass, and see the door has been generated. So this is what the lot of options which we can get it as a good idea, changing the directions and applying the metal and other options which can help people to understand. Very good options are there. Okay, now look at, and coming to that, what are the professional tools are there. There are few names, not actually there means these are only, but there are many more. So we can go through this the tools which are used exactly, which is architecture and interior design specific. So here you can, this tool which is the Make It AI. So how it will look like, it's good for the better residential planning. It gives a lot of design freedom and very informed decisions, like you make it well educated, informed, confident choice with your virtual assistants, and the cost and other possibilities. The regulatory related matters you can check with that. You can integrate entire workflow with that and software, and then unlimited options you can prepare, and you can have a collaboratively with the key stakeholders. So make it is what the tool where you can streamline entire planning and other activities also. So entire concepts is get visualized like this. You can see a lot of floor plans collaboratively you can work upon, and you can check that. This you can have a residential variety versions. Then assistant is there. Again, you can have a chat based, and this is more architecture related specific tools. And you can have original image, and you can find the how the transformation image will look like. Right, you can have a regulatory discussions, regulatory related items, zoning code. The in a plain language you can do a perform a query, and you can get an instant answers. So streamline this your related regulatory related research also, and various staging activities on compliances that will be with this particular tool you can find it out. Right, this is one make it. Then AI related sketch, furniture rendering, and all this is my architect, where you can write the prompt over here and get it generated. So you want what type of visibility is required for your, so you can say that very good house house near the crossroad in a market area with two floor and terrace. So you can call these things as in generating the image, and that your image will appear to you that what sort of looks like, and see the house is two floor with the terrace. You can see that with the balcony roadside, you can see the road also, and the image which is there. So you can even download your visibilities. You can be a more precise, and your image can be generated which is related. Even it can create a more of floor and other AI power tool. You can creative to right. So this is my architect which is very free. It's so you can generate the sketch, furniture, floor plan, your renovation related. So by Architect AI is there. Another one which is the Spacely. So design enhancement and visualization, there is a Spacely which I had shared earlier also. So this Spacely AI which is having a lot of quick actions and a lot of rendering is there. You can do a repainting of entire image. You can see this exterior change of an color from an various applications. You can see realistic rendering, style transfer. So all transformation, lot of layouts are being given, and these AIs you can have any selections you can put up. You can put up from a claim like to full render. You can see, and a lot of color changes and SketchUp options are there. So this can be create for the render, and you can remove the replace, and you can prepare very easily. So you can check with the timely. This is what the Spacely for the AI, right? Next, another tool I would like to showcase is a Planner 5D. So this Planner 5D, which is the tool where you can create the entire virtual tour. You can see the tool which is preparing their entire design. You can say create a floor plan. It can design, gets ready with the room. You can design your home, your furnished, decorate also. You can use that. So this you can design with the AI, and you can get a lot of design to get inspired from that, and a lot of things like it works like this. You can draw the walls as a basic input also. This is called the way you can give a visual inputs. If you are very not good at the written text based explanation, you can create the rooms this way. You can put up the your furniture, select the styles also visually, put up the all layouts, and then it gets adjusted according to this the selection, and then it can prepare the 3D understanding of your room, right? Next part is your visualize the 4K also. It can that entirely prepare how it will be actually appear, and it can generate the 4K image and actual visibility of the design. So this can be also possible with the Planner 5D. You can discover the endless possibility. You just upload your image, and you can find variety of options of a designs. So of an interiors, you can find that original and how it will look like. It can variety of change and makeover options will be there. You can just upload your image. So these are the many things you can do. Do a mod like 360 degree walkthrough, mood board creation, cross platforms, and the cost calculation. You can put up the create a shopping list plan, floor plan, and everything. You can have again integrate with the Apple Vision Pro like a device for the VR. And these are the more preferred tool you can see. Then the room GPT is there for again interior renovations, where you can apply the your actual image, and again related to the room you get better ideas, and it is room related specialized to redesign your home. So you can apply that many people, and it's very cheaper into that. You can use the room GPT. Then your room planner is there, AI room planner, very easy for planning the room activities. So this your room planner, which is again same model, same flow. You can give that actual image, and it can get the rendered images, which is with the adopted modification and suggestions. Variety of options it can be prepared, how the arrangements are to be made. So you can see that the renovation and all options will be with the room planning. Other options are there, and from your own idea to the final generation, there is a room sketcher is there, which is again you can have a room sketcher. You can easily sketch, and then you can get the architect kind of a plan details also, which can others can work. You can order this 2D floor plan, 3D floor plan, snapshots, 360-degree views, and everything can get generated. So these tools are does have better all opportunities there. You can have a end-to-end solutions with the room sketcher. Now, these are the things, but some tips are there. You can type and get an exterior designs you want to AI to generate. You generate and you regenerate, right? Without any description. It you gives you a lot of options and varieties also. But the caution word is here, do not give so much lengthy statements. Will be very precise and use an evocative language to avoid unnecessary words like enormous, over the word large, because large is very relative word. It's not a direct word. So you can have a variety of like more specific like cloudless sky, which is very effective. The one single word is very effective like a sky without clouds. So it takes a lot of confusion into the processing, and you can experiment with the various prompt formulations, and you can evaluate the outcome also. You have to remember the Of course, and you have to remember, but certain words like scenic type, image style. Scenic type is like a residential, coffee shop facade, past like office interior, and this image style like a sketch, photorealistic, or maybe clear and or you can say that industrial minimalistic. This mood is sedate, calm, raucous, energetic, material, iron, wood, slab, concrete, countertop, etc. Text will be like an oak, polished, Calcutta, gold, Sophia marble, and that names are to be given very precise. This makes your description very precise. Colors also as specific you need, right? A proper name which has been used by the companies for their, they are calling that Asian Paint XYZ shade. So you can use that brands also and get it more visible outcome. Even you generate, when then you can define your landscape, right? That is the beachfront, then Brooklyn Bridge, and that all you can visually that you can add on into the your description. And again, camera settings also that will make you more helpful in understanding the camera angles also. So this can be used into this, the depth and focus onto the bed, you can use more, right? So benefits are there. Higher side, the creativity gets this, gives you original concepts and what you may not have come up with that, so that they can produce. Second, it generates very designs into the time saving mode. So CAD models take, they can just take a merely seconds only, which I have demonstrated also. That's unparalleled. And in traditional non-AI tools take so much time as compared to this, and cost is getting reduced. You can see this rendering tools are costing 30 to $50 per month, but when the other tools which starts for single rendering is around so high, when you have to outsource these activities. So here the role of this variations where the end users get help, and even architects also, they got things done faster. But the challenges is ethics, and people easily can violate somebody's copyright, intellectual properties also, and authenticities gets compromised versus this faster automations. And we cannot restrict, or you cannot see about the ethical data uses and bias in their AI outputs. It's right, and the opportunity is their smart city design, like in big scale activities, personalized architectures, early stage faster visualizations are been possible using this. Next is that the challenges which we have to consider, this data privacy is the biggest concern, and addressing the data privacy and security is very much crucial here to build a trust to ensure the compliances while using the AI. And integration is with the existing system. So successful adoption of this Gen AI, which is very new generation solutions, but legacies are also to be through this training and infrastructure improvement, its adoption becomes balanced, and this will balance the automation need of rapid generation development and creativity also. People are not able to balance between both, so it gets find this equilibrium between this automated processes and creative insights of the designers, and is essential for effective utilization. And the last one, which is like what is the future of this, it will definitely increase this type of collaborations, right? And these collaborations will be the enhance the human professional efficiencies and their communications related to the workflows, and expansion of this AI applications, which will do a lot of predictive analysis and property management supports to the entire industry. And obviously this will be a market will be there, they would perform what buying selling process will be a more streamlined using this. So conclusion is it's a transformative, it has a good potential to transform, and it can embrace the innovation, and definitely it will the next generations will use more of this about the technological challenges which can be overcome, and it will be for a long term success, and companies will invest heavily into this resource to for the adoptions, right, and this level of efficiency and creativity will improve upon that. So now it's time. I had completed my demonstrations and explanations. Now the forum is open for the question answers, if any. You can use Q&A or chat options. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that great session. Many comments are coming in that people are going to use it for their own houses and, how they are going to leverage this, all this insight and all this knowledge. So, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this wonderful PPT with examples and with your insights. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the faculty members. I'm just repeating for the faculty members, the attendance will be uploaded next week. So please bear with us. We have been asked by ICT to share all the attendance together after completion. So we'll do it by Monday or Tuesday. And then next week it will be uploaded. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you all the faculty members. See you
Sure.
tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Good night to everyone.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.